Hello, hello, and welcome everybody to another Upsurge Contenders League match. I'm your host, Audio, and joining me tonight, as always, is my good old friend, Nightstar. And tonight, we're going to be bringing you the semifinal match here between CeraForce and MG Eclipse. Now, this isn't the I guess you could say this is the battle for second place almost, because on the other side, we've got CBT's semifinal match. A lot of people are expecting that one to be a sweep, but this one, Nightstar, should be competitive. Already was a sweep. My bad. Because we've got CBT or we've got MG Eclipse going up against CeraForce,
Mhm.
and at least we should see some good games out of these guys.
It should be competitive. And I think the story for this match is the fact that both of these teams were third seed in their conferences. So for them to make it this far is already pretty impressive. And in particular for MG Eclipse, they were able to upset the number one seed in their conference. So, that itself is also pretty impressive. And perhaps by that storyline, one of these teams will have the most epic of upsets in the finals.
Yeah, MG Eclipse were able to stop Purdue from joining ZBFT up there in the completely undefeated, record. But yeah, now they've made their spot here. They've still got a really tough opponent going up against CeraForce. CeraForce was also in a pretty difficult group. This is a team that we got to see last week, and
Mhm,
they got a little bit spicy with it. We saw them pull out the Z there
mhm.
in game number 2, and they're 2-0 against Northeastern University, and they're looking really good. They were comfortable in their series last week. So hopefully they'll be able to transfer into today's game as well.
Yeah, that's the hope. And that this still, well, this time around, they are going to have the same five people that we did see last week. So that's an improvement.
Woo!
No musical chairs today.
The first time for everything, Nightstar.
So hopefully with that continued or building on that synergy, they'll be able to show a stronger series this time around. However, last week when we did cast and watch it, this is a composition or a team that is built around skirmishing because of course they don't have that in-depth team synergy. When it gets to team fights, it could get a little bit dicey if it's just the straight 5v5 and gold is relatively even. So that's what I'm looking in particular when it comes into the games tonight is that if they do win, how clean do these team fights look? Or are they just still heavily relying on finding skirmishes, finding a 2v2s and solo kills?
Yeah, and Sarah Force, although in their series last week, we kind of touted them to be a pretty dominant one. From early on, they definitely had the advantage. Their
Yeah.
games don't necessarily accelerate in terms of gold early on. Even in their victories, you're still looking at the 15 to 20-minute mark before they really start
Mhm.
pushing forward and breaking the game wide open. So there's definitely a window in there if you want to try to attack them early and put them on the back foot. We saw Northeastern University go for the scaling option twice in a row last time, and you said it, the skirmishing was too strong
Mhm.
for CeraForce. They're really good at fighting. So I think if they go up against a team that can match them in that team fighting, maybe there was just a mismatch there, but attacking that early game could be a real weakness for CeraForce.
Yeah, I think it comes down to attacking the early game, making sure that the lanes get slowed down. And in that regard, it feels very solo queue esque, where you compile a lot of leads on the side of Seraphorce, but then you hit mid game, all the tier one towers are down, and then you're kind of at a loss of what's the next step. And usually, if you build enough team synergy, you know what that next step is when it comes to setting up around objectives. But as a more solo queue esque team, it gets definitely a lot messier around that mid game.
Yeah. And we're about to head into the draft, but since we saw CeraForce just last week, we have a
Mhm,
pretty good idea of what to expect, which is not something we usually get to say with this team. Like you said, they kept their same roster from the
mhm,
last playoffs match we saw, and that means that we're gonna have to keep our focus on that mid lane because those assassin champions being in the pool,
mhm.
we saw how willing CeraForce were to just go straight for that.
Yeah, so the trap pick here for the side of MJ Eclipse would be to go ahead and lock in something like Control Mages, which is exactly what they've been playing all season. You see things like the Zillion, a lot of Oriana, a lot of Victor come out here, and those picks are quite vulnerable to things like the Assassins. You're going to see the Echo, you could see the Zed, and definitely Yone has to be another pick that you really examine when it comes to that second phase.
Yeah, and CeraForce are going to have the advantage of first pick here. So MG Eclipse really have to decide what of those picks are they willing to let through? What have they done enough preparation to either counter or just be able to straight out avoid? Is CeraForce going to be going to their bans now? Looking like they want to attack the jungle pool. I wouldn't be surprised if they just ban out, a couple of the top junglers and then just first pick whatever's left. The Hecarim, on my mind, is still one of the strongest clearers and just strongest overall junglers on the patch. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's your read on the jungle meta, but I don't feel like a whole lot has changed. It's still Turbo Chem Tank Kingdom.
Yeah, and you see this trend become incredibly prominent in leagues that do fight a lot, like in LPL, where Hecarim has pretty much risen to tier one uh, over things like the Udyr and the Lilia. And those two picks that I just mentioned are kind of the response picks. With the Udyr being a more skirmish approach and the Lilia being more of a team fight approach to dealing with the Hecarim. But here in this game number one, we're not going to see quite a few junglers because the Kindred's taken away, the Hecarim's taken away, and the Udyr has been taken away.
Yeah, definitely interesting here. And that's going to be the Holy Trinity plus Kindred there, all taken off the board.
Lilia
We'll have
next to
to
fall.
see, potentially if CeraForce do want to put their first pick towards this jungler, we could see a position where MG Clips is really reaching down into that champion pool. We'll have to see, what they actually have. We could just go down the line. Okay,
No,
the
don't
nonsense
don't
might
do it.
end here. I like it. I think Tristana is borderline the best ADC. I think she's up there with Kaisa. Jinx is floating around there too, but Tristana just offers too much for how safe she is, man.
Yeah, she right now just has so much early game power, and then combine that with the ability to just buffer your rocket jump, and she becomes incredibly difficult to lock down. But she also just has so much assassination potential on
Mhm.
your backline. So it's basically a better Kaisa because Kaisa, once it hits those team fights, she can get in, dive backline, but Tristana just has a better early game, and she has an escape after she goes in and gets that kill.
Well, just like me, CeraForce are partial to that Kaisa. And hey, if you take away the better Kaisa, then the inferior Kaisa now becomes the best Kaisa. It's not about being the best, it's about eliminating your competition. All right. I still
True.
think the Kaisa is insanely strong, though. She offers so much to any composition. By locking in the Kaisa, Force doesn't really show their hand much. They could still go for an aggressive lane if you want to lock in something like Leona, take it to that Thresh. You can pair her alongside an Enchanter. She really fits a multitude of styles. But MG Eclipse, they are going to grab the Harvester Souls Thresh, and we'll see what they pair alongside it. No junglers picked up yet. Despite all the bans coming through, neither team wants to be the one to pick up the next jungle, the first one to have to reach into the pocket picks.
Yeah, that's going to be the Phileas to come out here. And I mean, it's really mostly because it works really well in tandem with the Thresh. I personally would have liked to see something like a Jinx to deal with the Kaisa, just because Jinx is basically the better version of Aphelios right now. Aphelios can still do Aphelios things, but again, it's very akin to Tristana being better Kai'Sa. Jinx is just the better Aphelios.
Now, Nautilus picked up alongside the Kai'Sa. I'm curious, Nightstar, what would you rate this duo against the Kai'Sa Rel? Because I saw the Rel was also available, and that's kind of risen as almost the new Kai'Sa Nautilus bot lane.
So Rel is a very, very good duo with the Kai'Sa. It's just that when it comes to starting engages, she is a little bit slow. She is very much, I would say, more telegraphed than something like a Nautilus. So the Thresh has just a little bit more time to disengage, to try and interrupt the Rel. Whereas for the Nautilus, it is a bit more instantaneous.
Yeah, and we see the jungle picks coming through now. CeraForce grabbing one of the last power farmers left up on the table. I guess the Nocturne didn't actually get banned, but I like the Volibear grabbed by MG Eclipse. This is a pick that I've been keeping my eye out for. Big buffs to his clear, at least the sustain of it in the jungle. I know the clear quickened as well. I don't know to what magnitude, but Volibear no longer gets reduced healing from his W on jungle monsters, so is able to get through multiple clears and feel a lot better about it, and can go straight into those scraps, those skirmishes, which we know both these teams are going to be looking to do.
Yeah, it could still be that Volibear top lane.
Ooh,
without knocking it too far down. And for MG Eclipse, I like the fact that they did lock in the Volibear, because it does give them options. If CeraForce then went ahead and double banned the jungle, then you would still have the Volibear as the fallback plan. And in the second phase, we already see Malphite taken away, Echo taken away. So it does look like they're going to look for perhaps a control mage here, making sure they deny the Echo. And actually denying the Echo here would indicate that they want to save last pick for either their jungle or their top laner. Really just holding on to this Volibear pick as long as possible.
Yeah, we'll have to see where that goes. Seraphine made it all the way to the second rounds of bans, but CeraForce will make sure that pick doesn't see the light of day. Thank goodness. And they're going to continue pinching those mid laners. MG Eclipse have first pick here. We'll see what are they going to blind, what will they save counter pick for, and where is this Volibear going to go? Tune in next week, folks, to find out. Just kidding. We'll let you know right here and right now as soon as MG Eclipse tells us.
Yeah, and I expect some sort of control mage coming out here, because again, they banned away the Echo. And while CeraForce did ban away the Seraphine and the Orianna, two other control mages that are very powerful, MG Eclipse just really like to play double backline, kind of front to back play style, and the Syndra is going to be able to help augment that.
Yeah, also just a fantastic blind pick in the mid lane. Syndra has been almost synonymous with one of the best blind picks. Does let the Twisted Fate through, though, and this opens up a lot of options for CeraForce. They now get a global to play around with.
Yeah, and immediately when I see the TF, I'm thinking Camille here. Camille has a solid matchup into the Volibear if it does go top lane, so you would kind of pigeonhole this Volibear into the jungle, and it also allows you to really play side lanes. And the Ornn pick, not quite what I was imagining. Not quite what I was imagining.
Quite like this one. Yeah, it does. I would prefer the Camille pick, like you said, or something akin to it to make use of that Twisted Fate. Because right now, it feels like that TF is going to hit level 6, isn't going to say, okay, now what? If there's not something spontaneously happening in the jungle, the Cho'Gath going to come through. Hoo-wee, get your sleeping bag gets out, pop some NyQuil. It's going to be a snoozer up there in the top lane.
Yeah. So, yeah, this Cho'Gath pick, I love the Cho'Gath pick into the Ornn, because Ornn just cannot punish the Cho'Gath here. You're going to be able to scale up relatively easily, and I can't see CeraForce having enough damage when it comes to 2 or even 3 item Cho'Gath to actually be able to kill him. Maybe once you hit 5 items, then you're going to have the damage on Graves, TF, and Kaisa. But until then, like the 2 item power spike for MG Eclipse is pretty nuts because of the Volibear Cho'Gath, who are going to be exceptionally beefy.
Yeah. And looking at backline access for both of these teams, there's a ton of peel and disengage in the side of MG Eclipse and CeraForce. It does feel like their composition is built more towards the front to back, but still looking to try to dive in. You got the TF, you've got the Kaisa. So like let's talk about the item spikes again. 2 items. Who is going to be stronger if both these teams hit it at the same time? CeraForce or MG Eclipse?
It really is just MG Eclipse. Like for CeraForce, they have to hit 1 item and they have to really blow it out of the park. Yes, you do have the Ornn items coming on later in the game, but you need to be able to really accumulate and really punish with this lead on your 1 item power spike to be able to make it to those Ornn items. I think MG Eclipse, this composition is really hard to crack open. Yes, they're not going to necessarily have the best run at you engaged to start fights, but if anyone tries to even get close to them, the Cho'Gath, the Thresh, the Volibear, the Syndra, these champions just dog you down really hard and you will not be able to get there.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking, especially MG Eclipse, to make sure there's no egregious macro mistakes then coming throughout this game, because the only way that you do crack that nut is if MG Eclipse have members out of place. If you try to go for an over aggressive invade or objective take, and then CeraForce, who do have globals that you have to respect, are able to collapse on you. So I do agree with you. I think it'll be on CeraForce to try to increase the tempo of this game, but as we were talking before, this is not a team that has shown to do that very often. It's usually around the 20-minute mark that they really start pushing the pedal to the metal and saying, okay, now we feel comfortable enough to fight. So we'll see if they're able to get it done this game. I feel like all the time we lay down the win conditions for these teams and it just doesn't matter because there's just insane fiestas going on left and right, and if that happens, I'll be a happy play-by-play either way.
I mean, CeraForce, it plays to their memo with this composition. They want to roam fast, they want to really skirmish as much as possible, so I would expect to see a lot of plays coming out from Chad Jungies just to try and accelerate the game as much as possible.
All right, now we've talked about the kind of 2 item spike. I want to take a trip further into the future. Let's say that this game goes super late. Now, the late game, I know we've got to factor in the Ornn a little bit, but we've also got great scaling on either side. Who would take the cake in a drawn out match?
Yeah, I think by that time, if the TF is able to get full items, then you're looking at being able to have a little bit extra range to deal with the Filio Syndra. And then it really just comes down to the TF. If he's able to really work the side lanes, that's a win condition that they can work around, because then you also have the Kaisa that can side link with it. But I really do favor the composition still over on the side of MG Eclipse.
Yeah. And even just the laning phases, right? I mean, the Cho'Gath into the Ornn, although that's not an exciting matchup, it's a really good one for the Cho'Gath. He's never going to feel pressure. And we've got this Graves who I feel like he's going to be wanting to get up into this Volibear's face, but it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of options for him, at least early on, like you would hope for, especially when you've got that Twisted Fate. Every time I see that TF, like you said, I'm hoping for that Camille in the top lane or just something that can utilize it. Even if you had gone for the Tristana in the bot, Tristana, Nautilus, that's a great TF lane. Kaisa, it's okay.
It's all right. It's still going to be the clear condition here for the side of CeraForce. I expect to see a lot of TF ults thrown into that bottom lane. So it's going to be a very bot side focused from CeraForce.
All right. Well, enough chatting about the game. Let's watch. We're going to join these teams on the Summoner's Rift CeraForce taking on MG Eclipse in the Upsurge Contender League semifinals. The winner of which will have the oh so illustrious sought after prize of taking on CVT.
Yeah, it's definitely a mountain to climb for that last step, trying to get over that finish line.
Almost feels like
And
a slap in the face. Like, you get to win, hooray! Now go fight
well,
CVT. Oh,
I mean, not a lot of people gave Suning a chance, and they were still able to put on a show, you know?
you're right. You are absolutely right, and maybe the winner of this match will get signed by TSM for $6 million.
Yeah,
Who knows?
exactly.
Anything can
It's the
happen in amateur.
trial to move to a larger paycheck.
Trust me, anything can happen in amateur, and it all starts here on Summoner's Rift. No interesting level 1s coming through. Not even any deep vision being placed. Just a couple of defensive wards on the side of MG. And we will see a topside start for both junglers. So perhaps they will collide down there in the bot lane further on in their clear. But again, there's not a lot that can really happen early on unless these teams just go full Pepega.
I mean, don't knock it until it happens. We'll see if it does pan out that way. However, in the meantime, like this mid lane, okay, this bot lane is wanting to go at it already, and as it should be, as again, this bot lane is going to be the one that is going to have all the action, whereas in the mid lane, it should be very Syndra favored here in this lane. So I expect to see Heppo to really force his lead here as much as possible, trade as much as possible here, and if Saberwolf is ever walking up, you better believe there's going to be a Graves behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. At least you would hope so. If he's walking up without the Graves, that's not a good thing. Here, Deku, did somebody tell him that he doesn't win this level 2? Baby Girls is giving him the update right now. It took him down to a quarter HP, and he'll be chugging on those potions there. He's already gone through all 3, and you can see Baby Girl's still holding on to one of his own.
Yeah, that's actually really painful there to lose all your health potions there. I actually would have imagined he would have gone for the refillable into the Dorn shield, just because Cho'Gath wants to trade as often as possible, and he does have sustain. So I just don't think this is enough sustain here, as he's already out of it.
Yeah. And especially knowing that your jungler is not going to be there, both starting on the top side, and it was actually Jinjin that was able to get priority off that first crab. So Chad Jungies will have to make the walk of shame up to the top side, and Saberwolf will help him pick that one up. As long as Cho'Gath doesn't stick around here, he might actually.
He's going to get a ward down, which is going to keep him safe. So
yeah, it'll give him some info.
Yeah. And now, yeah, I guess we're just kind of waiting for any sort of action to happen. Again, it should come around the jungle interaction. If it happens before 6.
Let's keep an eye out here, because Baby Girls has this wave frozen outside the turret. You could see Chad Junkies here was looking for some counter jungling, got it.
Yep.
He's in a really good position.
Yep.
The
wave's bouncing back. This is a terrible time to look for a trade. Oh,
yeah.
Actually, Chad Jungies is still interested in Crux.
You can see, though, that Cho'Gath wants to crash this. He's been trying for the last couple of waves. Deku is doing a good job just baiting this one out. And now he's going in. Oh, but we got to play in the bot side at the same exact time. Clarice has to flash away. The dredge line brings him to safety, and he will be just fine. Cut back to the top lane drama, and yeah, Baby Girls did get punished for that one. First blood gonna go over to Chad Jungies, and CeraForce on the board now.
Yeah, and it was really confusing because it wasn't really a situation where you wanted to crash it. Rather, the wave was already starting to bounce back. You definitely could have just waited for the wave to come back to you. And as a result of wanting to really crash that, you exposes himself pretty hard there and will get punished for first blood. Still holds a CS advantage, and uh, as far as lane goes, will still very comfortably win this lane.
Yeah, definitely will, especially with the gold not going on to Deku. You're not going to have to worry about him getting accelerated to the point where you don't win the matchup, because those situations feel terrible for the Cho'Gath. But that just felt kind of a case where, the Cho'Gath lost track of the jungler a little bit, knowing that, or I guess I'm not sure if they knew that the Graves started on the top side as well, but knowing that your jungler was pathing towards the bot, you just have to be a bit more careful. Thankfully, it's not going to turn into anything crazy. MG were actually able to get the dragon back for themselves because of that play, so at least they did a good job trading out on it.
And now in this mid lane, we have a lot of action.
Yeah, Scatter the Weak is going to land, and CeraForce, he knows he's done for. Kill credit will go on to the Volley Bear.
Thresh doesn't even get an assist. Didn't even throw out the lantern to try and snag that assist. A little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, feels bad, but it didn't feel like CeraForce was going to give him any opportunity either. And the Aphelios has been able to just sit down here, freeze that wave. Clarit's now on his roam timer. And Heppo has to be careful here. Flash gold card. Chad Jungies is able to find the layup on him. Now in the top lane, Ornhorn.
Nice interrupt.
Good interrupt with the Rupture. And Flash away will keep Cho'Gath safe. It's a kill in the mid lane and almost in the top side.
Yeah, and now, I mean, Baby Girls has just been playing so aggressive in these trades, and it just hasn't really been paying off here. He just needs to tone down aggression just a little bit. Make sure he gets a couple stacks onto his ults. Make sure he is beefy, and then he can look to just try and go back in. But now it looks like they could set up for a dive. Deku's super healthy, and Chad Jungies has more than enough damage to capitalize.
The Volley Bear is still level 6. This is a Predator Volley, very squishy, and so much damage coming through. Deku flashes forward and gets the first kill, and the Cho'Gath will fall soon after. Hippo has roamed up, but he's far too late for this play. Not only does Baby Girls go down, but, I mean, the jungler got stuck up there for a while, too. Jinjin is now starting to fall very far behind on his tempo.
Yeah, and this was one of the matchups when Volibear was super meta in the jungle that Graves did enjoy quite a bit, because you can just punish the fact that he's looking to be running people down nonstop, going super aggressive and trying to attack lanes as much as possible. And then the Graves, I mean, he can just power farm, and in this bottom lane.
Found a pick on a stringy bird. Not in turret range, but the Ignite coming through. And now there's the level 6. The Thunder God himself. Gonna roam down, grab a kill for himself and his ADC. MGE, that was such a crucial play to make up for those top lane shenanigans.
Yeah, that's actually a massive play there, being able to capitalize and get 2 kills down in that bottom lane. It means that they're able to cash in onto an extra plate. They are able to crash that wave as well. So a lot going for this bottom lane of MG Eclipse. And now their win condition is kind of back online.
And yeah, Cho'Gath is still going to be Cho'Gath. You get a couple of volt stacks on him, he's going to be feeling great. It's more important for MG Eclipse that these carries are feeling good. And Heppo hasn't really been able to get a CS lead, with all the roaming that CeraForce has been doing. But now the LOL noob has a kill under his belt. At least they've got that going for him.
Yeah, they do have that going for them. And Jinjin also being able to get 2 kills for himself means that he's not too far behind. I mean, he's still very far behind. It's just, he's still going to be relevant. Just not as relevant as this Graves. This Graves is absolutely monstrous with the Gale Force already completed before 10 minutes, mind you.
Yeah, and I'm looking for CeraForce to make use of this jungler more right now. Because Jinjin, the last couple of minutes, has been providing more for the map. Chad Junkies now, oh my god, there's that damage. Yeah, the Gale Force, it's too much. There's nothing Eppo could do.
Yeah, and now in the top lane, we're going to see tanks slapping tanks.
Jinjin gonna take the lantern to safety. That dragon belongs to CeraForce. There's no way you can contest it. At least MG Eclipse got the first one. They're not going to be looking down the barrel of a 20-minute soul this game.
Yeah, and it's actually the ideal situation, I would say, for CeraForce as well, being able to accumulate 3 of these stat dragons if they are going to be able to obtain them, of course. And it is going to be Mountain. So Mountain works exceptionally well for both of these teams. Holy moly.
And once again, it's the play inside the bot lane. Saberwolf has teleported down. Here comes the Ornhorn. It's a double play. LOL Noob stands in front, and he takes everything that CeraForce throws at him. He's going to go down. 1-for-1 trade and ADC for support. Doesn't feel so good.
Yeah. The result of that play felt very much like his namesake. Flashed.
Oh.
Straight line there. That's always a rough one to watch, especially when you do have a skill shot running at you. And as a result, Deku lands a nice ultimate and is able to cash in. Interestingly enough, he has gone for the Sunfire. Although Sunfire did get buffed, I believe. Aegis getting a little bit more damage stats, which is nice. But I still think if you want the chem tank, the chem tank's just too good.
Oh, you always want the chem tank.
And they want the Krugs.
This is level 10 to level 7. That's not fair. Add Jungies.
Normally I would say someone called the police because this is assault, but Jinjin's not using the Popo skin, so it doesn't work.
Graves has the Mafia skin on. He doesn't care about no police. He owns the police in these parts. They're on his payroll. Everybody's on Chad Jungie's payroll this game. How else did you think he's... Oh my god, he's 4-0-2. Can we toggle the gold graph there? I want to see...
He's got double the farm, too.
Yeah, double the farm. 6,200 gold. The next highest on MG Eclipse, rather, is the Aphelios there at 4,600. That's nearly 2,000 difference.
Yeah, but then you look at this mid lane. That's also a 2,000 difference here from the TF, which is not a pick you expect to really own the lane. And it's really been the help from Chad Jungies to be able to really push that lead for the TF, because of course TF, he gets more value out of minions, and now he's going to get another kill.
Now see just how much value he's been able to bring out as Chad Jungies now unstoppable. 5-0-2, and MG Eclipse, they're scrambling to find some sort of counterplay. Jinjin keeps throwing himself with this bot lane, and it's working.
Goodbye.
But, like, how much can you get back to make this worth it? They're trying to push on to Ardently. Stringy Bird caught up under the tower. They're looking for Claritz now. He will fall. Meanwhile, the tier 2 in the mid lane is being sieged up. Even if they get this turret, it won't be nearly worth it. Their inhibitor might be in danger here, Nightstar. This is 14 minutes in.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go for that inhib here, but if they get the kill onto Hippo,
you don't think, Nightstar? They're doing it right now. At least Hippo is gonna die right under it.
No minions.
No minions. They won't go for the tower. They still went for the play, and they might go for the long wraparound onto Deku. I mean, it's kind of just the Cho'Gath's fault for staying around at this point.
He's gone.
Right? Because you saw them in the mid lane.
He got
at your inhibitor turret. He's gonna do what he can to clear out some minions.
Claritz is here too.
Squad is here. He's trying to limit the amount of assist money that goes over. If he can give it to just the Ornn, that'd be great.
Nope.
But there's 2 more members tacked on. Share the wealth.
More blood for the Jungi god. How much money does he have in his pocket? He bought a straight up collector. Ardently dies here, but I don't really care about that. I'm looking at this collector BF sword buy from the Chad himself, the Chad. And when we came into this series, I mentioned it's about the skirmishing here. And what do you know? They find skirmishing 2v2 plays non-stop with this Graves.
You know, the collector sounds exactly like some sort of super cool mafia boss nickname that Chad Junkies would have. They're going for a dragon fight here. MGE, they find out Saber.
They don't have Chad Junkies.
Gold, and he's so low. The boss isn't here. It's just the lackeys fighting. And they are able to find the kill, and they find the dragon. Crucial fight. MG Eclipse steal one out from under CeraForce's nose when they had no business being there.
And we see the first inklings of a team fight, and CeraForce fall very flat. So once again, one of the things that we highlighted coming into this series that we need to watch out for. We'll see if that trend continues, because that's a big shutdown going into the hands of MGE, I'm pretty sure, since he accumulated such a CS lead and a very large gold differential here. And now, I mean, again, if MGE are able to secure a couple of these mountain dragons, they don't necessarily need soul. If they just get that second one, this Cho'Gath is pretty durable.
Cho'Gath, man, I told you, you don't really need a lot of gold. You can be behind on a tank and still be an insane meatball and even have the base damages to blow up most squishies. And at least for MG Eclipse, their gold is going kind of where they want it to. 3 kills onto that. Aphelios has that Kraken Slayer now. Working towards that second item is accelerated past the Kaisa at least. You just got to watch out for Chad Junkies. And MG Eclipse, got to applaud them for finding a fight where the jungler wasn't there, especially around the objective pit. We'll see if they can do it again, because it's got to be a couple more of those if they want to make it back to this game.
Yeah. And now they're going to fight for this red buff.
Ooh, Jin, he's going
in it.
But Chad Junkies is here. They found Claritz a little bit alone, but Chad Junkies is on the side, and he blows up Heppo. 4-man knockup, and it's a slaughter. Jin still might be looking forward. MGE have lost 2, but they haven't been deterred. Chad Junkies is legendary, and he's running them down. The Aphelios is the latest to fall. The Cho'Gath will be the final victim. It was a valiant effort, but this is Chad Junkies jungle, and you did not have a license to be there, bruv.
Yeah, you can take the red buff, but I will tax it back, as he just absolutely he got 3 kills in there. This man is so massive. He is so Chad.
He's 10-0.
Yeah, like we just have to keep pressing X just to see how much gold he's accumulating once again, because no doubt he's sitting on another boatload of money just waiting to be cashed in. And Claritz is going to say hello.
Throw out the death sentence. Doesn't land. It feels like MG Eclipse are kind of just throwing their weight at any play that they can look for. Because that last fight, I mean, sure, you want to get your red buff back. They got it. Okay, great. CeraForce was willing to walk away after that, but Jin still forced the fight afterwards. The Baron's nowhere near being up. Like, I just don't know what they're fighting for at times. And now all this gold has been funneled into Chad Junkies. At least it hasn't been spread around too much. That is the one thing you can take solace in if you're MG Eclipse, is that you're only dealing with an uber-fed Graves. So you know that you're not going to win any fight when he's involved, but you know you have a chance if he's not.
Yeah, more like if you're able to somehow kill him, the rest
Oh,
of the
yeah.
fight should be really, really easy, as we are
Look at
going to see
that
a pause.
juicy bounty sitting on top of Greaves' head. 700
He
gold.
probably has two of them. He's
Probably,
gonna
yeah.
have 700
That
and
would probably
700.
turn into. Oh, would it just go to 700, 700? It would
I don't
probably
know,
drop
but
down a little bit once you took him. But it usually drops down to like 300, 150,
it
somewhere
depends on
around
how
there.
fed you are. And
But
he's really
regardless,
fed.
that's an item completion. I thank you, Hyper, in my ear. That one drops to 400 after it's picked up. I believe. But that's an item completion, regardless of how much it is. If you're able to pick that up, 700 gold, that's an item completion. And that might be enough to win a single objective fight. And if MG Eclipse, they've done a good job sneaking away objectives this game. And I can't stress how crucial it is in the current state of League, if you're behind, to try to steal away objectives or trade away objectives. Because if these two dragons were going over to CeraForce, the narrative of this game right now would be it's over. It's this Baron into a soul, it's over. There's no chance to come back. But MGE have a chance. They've got like a 10-15 minute window still to make something happen. More if Jin can steal. Okay, he just flashes back out of the pit. He'll trade his life, but I respect the attempt. You just send the jungler, and maybe he'll even get out.
Yeah, it does look like he will be able
Flash
to run.
forward, Dredgeline's going to
Okay.
land onto the Aphelios.
Heppo.
He's going to fall down. Heppo doesn't have enough damage to trade one back. Saber Wolf will eventually find this gold card, and the Syndra will fall. And now, never mind. Objectives, I guess, don't mean anything, and it's over anyway. FGE had their window, but CeraForce slammed it shut. They're going to teleport in Deku, or rather Saber Wolf, just to make sure that this one falls. Who needs a Dragon Soul when you could take the Nexus at 21 minutes, Nightstar?
Yeah, and then they're going to be able to cash in on a couple kills after the fact as well. So while this draft from MGE was, I would say, better than CeraForce, I mean, skirmish on skirmish, exactly what we highlighted. And Chad Jungies, he shows that you're going to need more jungle bans.
Yeah, and I don't even want to say it was really just the skirmishing. CeraForce looked so good in this game just from their tempo wise. I mean, we talked about the top lane matchup and how Cho'Gath had this fantastic lane into the Ornn. Nobody told him because the Ornn ended up going up like 30 CS in that lane. And we saw, early on, we were talking about how Chad Jungies got to the top lane first. I want to highlight again, he was up an entire side of the jungle. He cleared out his side of the map and then the enemy's red buff and got to the gank first. So it just felt like CeraForce, even outside of the skirmishes that got them the large leads, they were able to get small leads within the first 5 minutes through just CS advantage and jungle tempo.
Yeah, and I don't know what was the final gold difference between the junglers, but it did feel like it was just a massive jungle difference in that game because he long horizoned him a while ago. I would say like at the 14-15 minute mark, he was by far and away just skyrocketed through that game. And one of the things to highlight that I didn't get to touch coming into the series is the fact that Jin, he did swap from top lane for this team at week 4. So maybe it's just the experience and not knowing the in-depth routing. And then Graves just being able to, every time he makes a play, he just eats the entire other half of his map, all those camps. And when Volibear comes back, there's nothing to do except run for another gank.
Yeah, and I'm curious as to what the draft is going to look like for game number 2, because maybe if there aren't 5 jungle bans, Jin, we haven't seen him on some of those, more premier picks, and especially with a role swaps player, you might have just stuck 100 games on Hecarim, Udyr, Lilia, and then they all get banned away. You're like, what? I have to play Volibear now? So we'll have to see.
Probably play it.
I think MG Eclipse will probably have the chance to go to blue side, and maybe the first pick opportunity will help out there, but we'll have to see. We're gonna toss it to a short break while these players get ready for game number 2. Don't go anywhere. On the other side, we'll have the continuation of CeraForce taking on MG Eclipse. Eclipse will probably have. Welcome back, everybody. It's game number 2 here now between CeraForce and MG Eclipse. CeraForce, it was a jungle diff there in game number 1, coming from none other than Chad Jungies himself. We saw 5 jungle bans, and he picks up the Graves and just styles on him. How many bans do you need against this guy?
Yeah, he was just drinking his coffee or whatever he's doing here, and it's just like, yep.
By the gallon, that man was zooming around Summoner's Rifts, all hopped up on caffeine, ganking everywhere, still out farming.
Can't ban him out. He was just like, all right, next one down the list here is Graves. All right, let's see if I can beat him with the Graves pick. And he really, really ran him over. We'll see how much more bans get thrown at him, because they did drop a Shen ban for the side of MG Eclipse. Do they just replace it with the Graves ban there? That'll be the question. It's also going to be teams staying on the same sides, which, given how effective Graves was, maybe they, for the side of CeraForce, they're forced to just lock in first pick Graves then.
Yeah. Remember though, they didn't even go for the first pick jungler in game number 1 with all the jungle.
It was first pick Kaisa.
The Kaisa. So I mean, they I guess have the opportunity to go back there. I really like CeraForce on blue side. They're a team that I feel like will play a lot of the powerful picks if you give it to them, but like just the fact that they're banning all these things away and still not even first picking their jungler, but getting a pick like Graves and stomping on it shows me how confident they are going into the draft phase. Because even positions where they feel like they should be losing out, they're getting really strong picks. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're back to blue, and it's going to be on MG Eclipse now to change something up. What do you want to see from the draft on their side?
Yeah, so I would assume that MG Eclipse had side selection this game since they lost the first game. And for them not to swap over to blue, it really just means that they're really, really worried about mid lane. Because if you give mid lane last pick on the side of CeraForce, it means that Saver Wolf will be able to lock in an assassin and just blast you in lane, and it's just not a good time. So that's probably their thought process. And for MG Eclipse, they need to be able to figure out what they can do to really not necessarily pinch the jungle pool, but to be able to shut down Chad Jungies before he even gets online.
Yeah, and really gonna have to make sure that they're tracking and just being aware of where he is on the map, because it doesn't matter what pick it is. We saw plenty of times where that Cho'Gath, yes, you have the winning lane, but if you just perma push and you're not paying attention, hey, my jungler's bot, the enemy jungler is probably top. Any jungler is going to be able to capitalize that, even a Yuumi jungle. Maybe Chad Jungies will bring it out, start the new meta here today.
I'm gonna say no to that one, but
Moonstone Renewer is good enough as an item. That may be a good but it's gonna be the Udyr starting things off again here in game number 2 as the first ban, and the Kindred. I mean, we're starting off with the salty run back, at least through the ban phase.
I mean, if you give Chad Jungies his Kindred win trick, that feels worse.
If you give Chad Jungies anything, I feel like you're kind of losing draft. Give him a Yuumi pick, maybe.
All right. Well, they would have. They would need probably 100 jungle bans in that case to make it down to the Yuumi. Here, I hope. I really do hope that they don't ban the Shen, because into Shen you can play the Cho'Gath, who does have a pretty good time into it. You're going to outscale him as well, as Shen is kind of just forced to make plays across the map, and he's not going to be able to 1v1 the Cho'Gath at any point in the game. So they can safely take that away if they are willing to pick up the Cho'Gath again.
Yeah, same 3 bans so far for CeraForce if they lock in this Tristana here. And they will. Will it be the Shen or will the Graves be taken off the table?
Graves.
Nightstar, he's hoping for it. They're hovering.
There we go.
And there it is. Locked in. Now CeraForce, they've got the chance to just grab themselves a jungler here, especially with another ban added to the table.
It's probably just Kai'Sa.
Mess with MG Eclipse's heads. But it was the Kai'Sa last time. Could be the Caitlyn this time. Not a pick that we see as much as in terms of priority, but still I think one that's been doing very well in the current meta, especially if you pair her with an aggressive support. I think is going to be the key here now for CeraForce.
So this Caitlyn pick indicates that they want to go for a more siege style composition where they might be looking at something like a Nidalee in the jungle. Something that can really attack from range, also has early game pressure, also possibly be able to snowball this Caitlyn to allow her to really rip away those plates in the bot lane. But I like the response. MG Eclipse, they go for the Sivir. I still think Jinx, when left available, definitely a really nice pick, but the Sivir has the ability to push back the wave against Caitlyn.
Yeah, and especially probably coming in as a reactive pick or preemptive pick to that Morgana. MG Eclipse didn't want to take it away, but knowing that was going to come in right after the Caitlyn, at least now you have the spell shield to block those bindings. And one of the most important things about Sivir is not just actually blocking the binding, but just having the ability to. As an ADC, you sometimes have to act so scared if the Morgana just walks at you and doesn't throw it, and she'll just continuously zone you away. Sivir doesn't have that problem. CeraForce, though, they will grab the Shen for themselves as MG Eclipse traded that ban for the Graves, and now we're looking at a really scary siege comp starting to come together.
Yeah, they're able to secure themselves the Shen here at the same time for MG Eclipse. Because it did come out at B3, it leaves them the ability to counterpick them at R3, and that's exactly what they go for. They lock in the Jax, and also, in addition, it allows them to double ban jungle again here.
Let's see if they take the opportunity. What can you push Chad Jungies down to? The Twisted Fate would still be a really good ban. I think it's a super powerful pick. It fits a lot of what CeraForce are trying to do in this game. And so making sure that one doesn't go into their hands. You still have an option to add one more jungle ban.
Yeah, I would, if you're looking at a jungle ban, I would consider something like a Nocturne because of the dive potential with the Shen. Nocturne Shen, incredibly powerful in just focusing down the back line, and Sivir just doesn't have, the spell shield is definitely not enough in order to keep her alive here, as they are hovering it, and I would assume that they're going to ban it. On the flip side, though, CeraForce banning away Volibear is really interesting. Because perhaps Chad is worried about, perhaps not being able to shut down the Volibear as hard this time around.
I almost wonder if that's just simply trying to throw MG Eclipse off their game, saying, we know that this is the pick that you go to when everything else is banned away. Let's see what else you got. Let's put you on something even more uncomfortable, as it will be the two bans from the jungle coming in from CeraForce. MG Eclipse, though, taking away that Echo alongside Twisted Fate. Now they've got the chance for first pick in the second half. Let's see where they go with it. Still looking
I'm expecting something like an Orianna here for this mid lane. Again, they banned away the Echo. So Nunu's the hover here. Okay, so it looks like they're going to actually save last pick for mid lane. And in that case, I don't understand why you go ahead and ban the Echo, because the Echo is not a blind pickable champion whatsoever. But Nunu here, a jungler that operates on low econ and thrives around making the other jungler useless. That's his MO. He's not going to be useful himself, but he will make the other jungler worse than him. And that's what he's going to try and do in this game number 2. And the Lee Sin, while it can skirmish with the Nunu, this is a matchup that Nunu does love. because both of these champions drop off very, very fast.
Yeah, and CeraForce really showing how quickly they're, planning on taking this game number 2 with those last 2 picks that they lock in, the Lee Sin and the LeBlanc.
Okay.
There are so many tools and so much damage to try to crack this nut of MG Eclipse, but it just got a little bit tougher because they locked in Anivia, the queen of wave clear, and stalling out games till 40 minutes.
Yeah, the Nivea pick is actually really interesting to me because I don't think it's actually a great spot for the Nivea. There's so much mobility on the side of CeraForce. They can get past the wall. And the thing is, if you go past the wall, you're not committed to going past it because the LeBlanc operates on flanks. She just kind of jumps in and jumps out. You're not seeing a whole lot of like Olaf where if he's in, and you just can't get out. There are... the CeraForce want to operate somewhat from a range and from multiple directions, and when you do that, the Nivea just gets really confused in team fights and isn't able to really work her magic.
Yeah, absolutely. Your MG Eclipse, I mean, they've got a big hill to climb because not only does the composition, it doesn't feel like it suits their fighting style, but they still need a lot of gold to operate. That jungler might be low econ, but a Jax and a Nivea, Sivir is definitely a lot better with the rise to the new lethality build, but still, you're looking at 3 items before you really become a team fight threat. And there may not be a lot of front line, but it's CeraForce feel like they're poised to end this one just as quickly as last game, and 20 minutes is not nearly enough time for MG to do what they need to.
Yeah, and I think CeraForce's composition, again, their 1-item spike is going to be better here for MJ Eclipse. You're looking at 2, at least for Sivir to come online, for the Jax to come online in the 1v1 matchup. When it comes to team fights, he probably wants a 3rd one. And then for Anivia, I honestly I need to see this Anivia before I can really judge it, because I just don't think this Anivia is going to be good. However, Heppo has played this pick, and he has played it to success. So, I need him to prove me wrong.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Now, we saw last game Jin spending a very lopsided amount of time in the bot half of the map. It really felt the jungler farming wasn't split, but the ganking definitely was. Is that going to be the game plan here in game number 2? Because Jad Jungies, it now feels like with a Shen in this top side, he might be just looking to kind of let Deku do his thing and just camp bot. And if Jin decides to pull that same shtick again, could be difficult.
So I actually think that it's going to be more top side focused, because Chad Jungies could just farm Jax over and over again here, because he has good setup with the Shen. We saw in game number 1, it was an Ornn, but he was still focusing a lot of attention on just capitalize on getting free money. And that could be the case this time around again if Baby Girls mismanages these waves once again, and Jin isn't there to bail him out. Now for Jin, I also think you need to focus top lane. You need to make sure this Jax gets off the ground. He's not the Cho'Gath where he still gets to do some things at 1 item. If Jax falls behind and everyone else is half an item ahead, you are going to run into a lot of problems here as the Jax.
Yeah, and later on, that Jax is going to feel great against the Shen in the side lane, but in the early levels, it's not an amazing matchup. You don't feel great taking those empowered Q auto attacks to your face, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity if they want to attack that top lane again, where Shen will have the priority, he will have the push, and they'll have the kill advantage for sure in the 2v2. So I'm excited to see what Chad Jungies is able to do on the Lee Sin, a pick that I always love when it comes out, because it's usually in a matchup where one jungler feels like they are the better jungler. You don't see Lee Sin really popping up.
It's a hard flex pick.
Exactly. It's million mastery points. It's the egotistical champ. You bring it out, and your opponent knows that if it does well, that they were the better jungler that game.
Yeah. However, this time around, they are at least able to get the Shen, which, I mean, Deku, he's played probably close to 250 games just this season. So he's a little bit practiced, and as Hyper has just whispered into my ear, he is close to 1 million points, or he is over
1
a million.
million
So he's
in
over
that
9,000.
Yeah, 1 million is over 9,000. That is quick math that you can do on broadcast.
I hope so.
But, oh, I love this. MGE, don't break my heart. They're moving out as a 5-stack. Their
They left
jungler
Nunu.
isn't quite with them. You forgot
Baby Girls
the
is in
kids
it.
At home.
Go.
Chad Jungie spots them out. He's gonna back off.
Oh, here comes
Zoom
the
in.
snowball.
Imagine if that snowball was there
Oh!
3 seconds earlier.
Oh,
Still
they're
lands
going.
on a Chad Jungies and the boomerang blade.
Woo!
First blood over to Hey Baby Girls. MGE come out swinging.
Yeah, and it is the perfect level 1 situation. You get to kill Chad Jungies, and guess where that first blood money went on to? It went onto the Jax. So Jax, great, off to a great start here. We'll see if Chad Jungies decides to go ahead and reclaim that money bag, going straight up into that top side. And we'll also see if they can get themselves a free egg.
Yeah.
Nope.
Or, I mean, hopefully for MG Eclipse, this isn't just like a Hornet's Nest situation where now you just kick Chad Jungies and he's mad.
Yeah, and he is about to bring out the Muay Thai.
He's going to walk in. They're going to steal away this blue buff
Here
as
comes
payment for that early level 1. Snowball being charged up onto Chad
Oh, they could kill him again.
He smites away and gets the level 2 for the blue buff. And that's all he needs. The strike lands. He flashes the Anivia stun. Boomerang Blade gonna land again, but a successful invade for CeraForce turns the tide back in their favor.
Yeah, a massive play onto that jungle. Jin, he just wasn't able to get the smite off. If he was able to get that, if he was able to hit level 2, the game is probably over at that point. CeraForce just have no way to come back. Your Lee Sin is incredibly slow at taking jungle. He also just doesn't have help. And okay, Ardent Elite Clarice, they're playing very far forward, trying to get trades down, but the hook pretty much says, all right, well, time to drink all your potions, buddy.
Yeah, that felt deliberate. It almost felt like Ardent Lee was baiting them forward there. And no flashes on the bottom lane. Both of those are gone from that early scuffle. So even just posturing forward and making them think, hey, maybe the Lee Sin's still in the area can be an effective way to scare him back. Game pause, though, is running into some small difficulties. We'll let you know as soon as we figure out what's going on and how quickly we're able to fix it up. But this is an amazing start here for CeraForce. It seemed for a second that MG Eclipse were going to have a bit of a smoother early game, but CeraForce isn't having it.
Yeah, they aren't really having it at all. And being able to get the response invade from for CeraForce here is a big deal because there were so many more implications after their invade versus the invade that the side of MG Eclipse were able to get off, because they got a first blood onto the Jax. Sure, great, whatever. But everyone was still able to recall. After that invade from CeraForce, there were no recalls coming in. The Nunu was dead, of course, but the bot lane had to just walk back down bot, so they were forced to chug potions that they didn't really want to. And the Thresh also was very late to lane because he went to recall and he had a long way to walk back.
And also just the fact that in that initial first blood play, the camps weren't spawned. So when the Nunu dies, he's not only, losing out on his blue buff, but he's losing out on time that he could be farming. He's now no longer going to be able to hit level 3 by the time that Scuttles spawn. And, perhaps, if they play it right, because we've talked about how they've got the lane priority, he might get double Scuttle now. So this, because just the fact that the jungle monsters are up, screws up the rest of the game. And jungle is one of those roles that it almost feels the worst when you get put behind, because you don't just have a consistent waves of minions pushing into you. You can't just hide under your turret. It's very dangerous out there in the wilderness of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah,
Especially
and
when you got people like Chad Jungies running around.
especially when Chad Jungies is on the case here. And for Jinjin, okay,
Ooh.
if they got
Another
that
hook like
kill,
that,
would have
Yeah.
been very, very good for this bottom lane. But
Let's
now,
go to Flash. Now looking top lane. This is what you asked for from Jinjin. And
he's
they're
still
gonna
going.
jump
Wait a second.
forward. Baby
That's
Girl's
not
down
it.
to 100 HP though. Shen does have
That's
to
not
flash
it.
away. Chad Jungies.
Uh-oh.
They need to block the
Uh-oh.
resonating strike. He
Uh-oh.
does, but does he have the damage anyway? One more auto attack. He ward hops in to get it. Chad Jungies.
Okay.
Baby Girl
Wait.
takes him down for the double kill. Oh, what a turnaround play there. Can Saberwolf
Saberwolf.
find one back, or will it
What?
be a triple?
oh my god!
What? Oh,
Okay.
man.
All right.
Okay. I mean, completely new game now. We're sitting in a world where MGE have just been handed a triple kill onto Jax.
Yeah, that was a bit of a disaster waiting to happen, but then the fact that Deku walks into turret range or didn't have minions to take aggro off of him means that Deku, this lane's lost. This lane's lost. Yeah.
100%.
Although, again, these top lane players really like that tower shot. But Saberwolf also donating or thirsting for the kill afterwards, trying to get double buffs.
Flash
Also
forward,
not good.
binding lands, the traps come through. Ardently finds a kill onto Sivir. If you don't have that spell shield up, you can see how dangerous that lane is.
And it is quite dangerous. So, Noob being
Chad
taken out there,
Jungies.
and Chad Jungi says hello and goodbye.
Waiting for that wolf to go down. One more auto attack would do
Oh,
it. He
no.
doesn't find
Okay.
it. No, not
Either
even
way-
able to take away the camp, but he does force Jinjin away.
Yeah, he shoos him out of the lane, and you might as well
Get
shoo
outta
him out of the game by this point here. And that's one of the drawbacks from Nunu, is that you'd really like some shoving lanes to be able to do new things, which is either run at you with the snowballs nonstop or invade nonstop to deny jungle camps. And right now, he can't do either. And he's
Chad
dead.
Jungies, it feels like he's got a wart just stuck on Jinjin's back. He knows exactly where he is at every point. Oh man, Jinjin, I think he's still level 3 at
Yep.
this point.
Mhm.
Didn't even get the Krugs there. And I don't know what he does at this point.
The other thing is he's sitting on Phase Rush, which is pretty much exclusively a ganking rune, where you want to be able to dog down targets during the lane phase nonstop, and after the lane phase, you're hoping that the accumulated gold lead you have is enough to keep you tanky. But because he doesn't have Aftershock, now being behind is pretty much a death sentence.
Yeah, and Ocean Dragon on the table. Saberwolf going in for a little bit of poke, but you see Chad Jungies is just hovering around this top side. The Jax, I don't believe he's backed since that triple kill play. I'm pretty sure he had recurve bow, Vamp Scepter when that one started. So, is not really very... Oh, okay. Yeah, he did back and spent that gold. But now he is going, once again, no teleports available for either top laner. So Deku right now is kind of stuck up here, and bot lane prio means that MG do get first move on a dragon if they want it.
Yep. It now comes down to bot lane priority to try and secure the little bit of extra space to start out this dragon. And I mean, unfortunately for MGE, even if you are able to get priority, I don't think that the Nunu is ever comfortable doing
You're
it,
looking
even
for-
as Nunu.
Feels like last game, that was something that we applauded MG Eclipse for, was getting
here comes the
dragon
gank.
where they really shouldn't have, And it all came down to this bot lane last game too. Ardently does dodge the hook, and Ignite comes out, but no play to be had. Jinjin will just walk back towards that dragon. But now Saberwolf and Chad Junkies are on this side of the map. And that means you can't really do things anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very least, the Sivir doing very, very well in lane, being able to nonstop pressure this Caitlyn here. And there's just really no moment of reprieve for this Caitlyn. Although now that Chad Junkies is here, we definitely will see some sort of fireworks.
Yep, seeing the jungle on bot side, Baby Girls jumps in. He's taking a lot of minion damage. Deku is still doing a good job in that lane, only being down 10 CS, despite all of that gold being funneled into Jax. He's holding his own quite nicely. MGE are just going to reset off that bot lane. Neither team yet starting up the drag. Their Chad Junkies goes now. That should be a free objective at 8 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw it in game number 1. Baby Girls just wants to constantly shove in rather than hold the wave, and now Saberwolf.
Yeah. Smart move
just says
from
hello.
CeraForce. They know what the counterplay is to this. You know, jungler picks up the dragon. Your jungler is supposed to go for the Rift Herald. And just walking up there and pushing Nunu off costs nothing. But it's going to protect that objective. And now CeraForce can rotate up here and play for it themselves.
And CeraForce, if they're able to secure this or just get Chad Junkies more farm, because the Lee Sin isn't supposed to be able to clear very fast. And right now he's able to keep in pace with the rest of his laners here.
You know, I feel like Chad Junkies is doing a lot of things that junglers shouldn't be able to do this series. He's kind of breaking the laws of Summoner's Rift right now.
Yeah, and Baby Girls is trying to break this top lane.
Got the snowball. It's going to roll up.
They're diving.
Land. Jinjin is tanking, but he is so squishy.
Oh, he got executed.
Yeah, kill credit doesn't go over, but Baby Girls is on the run. Deku is still winning this fight. Despite being down, he grabs the taunt. 1 slap, 2 slap, counter strike. Jax is able to turn it around. 5-1 now.
Yeah, 5-1. That was definitely not something Deku could have chased after there. Just because of how strong Baby Girls was, or still is. And now Baby Girls, well, Clary,
you are very dangerously forward. Okay, he's got Chad Junkies. Never mind.
He's got the Chad.
Safe. He is in no danger whatsoever. Because Lee Sin's going to walk up here and look to obliterate anything and can see. His presence alone will call out the teleport from the Jax. And yeah, Baby Girls will just TP in to recall.
Baby Girls was like, this is doomed.
Wait, and he leaves, and then Chad Junkies go straight back in. Man.
Oh, this is disturbing. How
good level of yeah.
It is truly disturbing how much Chad Junkies is just abusing this jungle matchup. Part of it comes down to the fact that you have Anivia who doesn't shove out very quickly early on, and then you have Jax who's so focused on the 1v1 that hasn't really been able to help a brother out. And did he get all the small raptors? I think he did.
He got at least 2 of them. I don't know exactly how many he got. This is just cyberbullying at this point. Nunu just hit level 6 off those that half raptor camp, and he is looking towards mid lane as we see a bit of a scuffle here in the top lane.
Deku doesn't win this anymore.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
If it was ever a question before, folks, he doesn't win these anymore.
You don't win those. Saberwolf, though, did have to burn Flash. In whatever that mid lane scuffle that went down, I think, Jin and Heppo were looking for
here comes the collapse.
Able to get a summoner out of her. Binding just barely doesn't land.
Baby Girl's almost hopped into that one, and now Jinjin.
Jinjin looked at the Herald, and now he's going to die for it. Sand United is going to be channeled
Can he
onto
1v4?
Chad Junkies, but he got shut down. Baby Girls has the damage. They're not going to give him the chance. They're going to back off. CeraForce, they lose their raid boss. And they're going to get out of there. Claritz has roamed up.
It's going to be a match,
Bird
though.
has stuck around. It's just going to be for the ward. Teleport into the
teleport.
bot lane. It's action all around as Heppo is going to find the slow one ardently. Gets the egg, though. The Sivir has walked up. She is so low. Has to flash away. Ardently, 3 more auto attacks will do it. The headshot.
Oh!
And it's a double kill for the Caitlyn. Well played, sir.
An absolute display of skill there coming in from Ardently. Just ducks
These
and
supports
dives.
have been up here for like the last 30 seconds fighting over wards.
Oh,
The ADCs are going at it in the bot lane.
poor Jinjin.
Ardently now.
He's 3 levels down on an 80 carry.
A new challenger approaches. Wait, no, it's just Jinjin.
No, it's just a larger
just
modeled
a
melee
new.
minion.
Man, what a crazy game we've got here. It's so insane that this is only a 2,000 gold difference because we have such polarizing states of the lane. Top lane is so fed, jungle is so fed.
There goes a blue
the
buff.
other way. I mean, what did you expect? Jinjin to be able to steal away Chad Jungi's blue buff?
He's basically playing on all 4 quadrants of the jungle. There's just nowhere for Jinjin to ever walk into, and yeah. As a Nunu, you're kind of just like, well, guys, I still do Nunu things later on, I suppose. I'm just here anyways. It's not like I was set that far behind. I still can walk up and consume Smite Baron if I need to. But this definitely feels bad.
And we've seen 2 games now where 5 to 6 jungle bans come through. And Chad Jungi's Jinjin is going to be okay here as he has Heppo. But Saberwolf is super strong with that Ludens completed. It could probably 1v2 if you wanted. Chad Junkies is on the way.
Nice
good
hook.
hook on Descendants onto Ardently. Black Shield comes through, but the damage being thrown out. Heppo is certainly going to fall here. Not an egg to keep him safe. And Chad Junkies is just taking a victory lap around Summoner's Rift right now. Stringy Bird has been on point with these death sentences, and that one will finally get a kill back for themselves.
A much needed kill here, and now he's going to try
more.
and
We'll never
find
know.
more. We'll also
Did not
block
look
the
like
ace in
it.
the hole.
Yeah, Ardently has been doing an amazing job, though, on his own down here. Claritz has been doing a lot of roaming. Not to say that he's not in the lane. He's doing great. But Ardently has been able to single-handedly keep this Sivir and Thresh at bay, as well as, take this turret almost all the way down while protecting her own. It's just so... It's so oppressing that CeraForce are able to be this fluid around the map and still be getting absolutely everything. Saberwolf now looking to attack them, blows up Stringy Bird. Will he be able to get out, though? Pops into the clone, and Nunu will almost take him down. He'll find one more kill before following. Ardently as well has so much damage and turns that play around. Meanwhile, Chad Jungies, he finds the strike onto the
He went for a
Jax.
trip.
Good ward hop there away to make sure that he didn't get sent into the wall.
That was the giga bonus distance. We saw baby girls jump to a minion and also get booted at the same time. So the extra boot distance actually attacked on to the end of that jump. So baby girls went for a ride. To say the
Most
least.
importantly, though, he gets out safely. Oh, wait.
You were
Never
saying?
wait. He dodges out on the resonating strike,
Oh!
and Stringy Bird has the lantern for him. Not even close. He goes back to farming. Oh, wait.
Uh-oh.
That one made it. Okay. You can only tempt fate so many times, and you can tempt Chad Jungies one less time than that. Binding's going to land onto the Thresh, and they'll finally force CeraForce back, but the damage has been done.
We saw in game 1 Baby Girls was very greedy as a player, and we've seen it in lane phase number 2, and we saw it in clear display in that last minute of
Stringy
action. As
Bird
now
lands another death sentence. The absolute
This is the
zero is able
turn.
to find a kill. Stand United is channeled, but Chad Junkies is fallen.
doesn't
Two
wanna be
good
here.
kills for MG.
Or does he?
Teleport channeled. Baby Girls is on the way. And he's got a couple of fresh items in tow. Deku's stunned up, but
that's an egg.
Heppo has been sent into the egg, and Ardently will pick up kill credit for that one. Baby Girls looking for the jump in. Ardently trying to keep that distance. They find the counter-strike and the shutdown to follow. Saberwolf, though, he's making this one hurt for MGE. LOL Noob is just trying to keep an eye on him, but you don't want that fight anytime.
things are happening all over the map here now. Baby Girls,
Look how
Saberwolf
scared the Jax is to walk up to his tier 2 turret to farm. That is the fear that Saberwolf has been putting into these players' hearts here.
Yeah, well, Baby Girls really starting to come online at the very least. Has 150 CS, 8-2. You know, we'll have the Triforce now completed, and this is kind of the target that we were looking for. Once you see the 2 items come in for MGA, that's when their champions turn online, and once it gets to 3rd item, that's where their team fight turns online. However, Jax is the only one doing that, because you look at this Anivia, still has a mishmash of items. You look at the Sivir, still trying to get the completed Muramana, which it should be very, very close. But until then, it's going to be...
MGE do have the first control of this pit, and they've started up the dragon. Saberwolf, big chunks
nice
coming
boomerang
down.
blade.
You have to be careful getting this dragon low against the Lee Sin. They forced him out, and that dragon is just going to go down.
Ooh.
CeraForce picking up that one, and now Baby Girls is trying to go in for the fight afterwards. Clarice goes golden, and they stunned up the Jax. He's going to fall.
Done.
Double kill for Saberwolf, and the fight is over. MGE trying to limit the casualties, but CeraForce is going to make sure that they get everything after that one. The dragon, all 5 kills, and they're even looking towards the Baron.
Yeah. I remember one of the things you mentioned at the start of the series was watch out for 20 minutes. That's when they turn online. 3rd dragon happens. Guess what time it is? It's 20 minutes. And they find a very, very clean fight. And the gold is about to skyrocket.
Yeah, there's still a decent amount of standing gold on the map. All tier 2s available. And this is not a team that likes to sit around with their gold either. They spend it and they try to end the game quickly after that. And looking at how much gold they picked up after that last fight, now Caitlyn 6-1, LeBlanc 7-2, Chad Jungi's up to 7 kills as well. If they choose to just march down mid lane, I'm not even sure this Jax is really going to be able to stop them.
Oh, Jin can't even get himself a raptor camp. Loses the large raptor once again. And it's been a series to forget.
He hasn't got a raptor since like 4 minutes.
It's been
He's
a
old
series
news.
to forget. As at least he's at a nice number. Was at a nice number. But, you know, Jin, level 9. Yeah,
So I guess the only question left to ask for this game is obviously we haven't seen CBT play yet. They're the best team that we haven't watched yet. But is this CeraForce, which is looking really good here in the semifinal, as Deku does go down?
Jin's on the board!
I'm trying to praise them. But is this CeraForce going to be good enough to take down the undefeated CBT? I'm not so sure, because their records have been absolutely flawless, but hopefully we'll see CeraForce actually put up a fight, and this isn't the same series, but in the other way.
Yeah, so Jin puts himself on the board, gets the gold reset onto him. Yeah, that's a feels bad right there, because now the Nunu's back to being full value, and while Baby Girls is trying to do Jax things now, this is the only option that they have, is just to have Jax somehow be able to take the base of CeraForce while they're trying to take the entire rest of the map. And that's the issue. They're taking the rest of the map while you're trying to take just this one tower.
Yeah, and this lethality Sivir does not offer the wave clear that crit Sivir does. You can't just ricochet auto attack the wave 3 times and it magically disappears. This Anivia as well with the Everfrost build. The wave clear options and stalling techniques we talked about, which are very powerful, are nowhere near being online yet. And MGE is struggling to clear out these waves right now. You're right, the base is just crumbling. They've already taken one inhib. Baby Girls has no choice but to flash in, but they're getting even more now. The second inhibitor gonna fall, and they might be looking for a play under the tower. It's 3/4 of Sivir's health bar just chunked out there. CeraForce, their bloodlust is finally sated. They will return home to spend their spoils of war after they clear out the jungle just one more time.
Yeah, and I mean, 9,000 gold lead. I think it was close to 10K when they finished that Baron. I'm not super sure, but it felt like that. So at the very least, because of the fact they were able to get money cross map, the Baron, while has stripped away a lot of the map control that they have, didn't doom them too much when it comes to the money aspect. And thankfully for them as well, it is going to be Cloud Soul. So while LeBlanc is going to be incredibly frustrating to deal with, it's not a Doomsday Soul, I guess.
It's still gonna hurt for sure, but yeah. I agree. A LeBlanc running
I say
around...
it with a big question mark because we're looking for the question marks at this point. If there's any like wish-wash moment, you know, MGE, of course, this is semifinals, so you're not looking to just forfeit this second game. No, you're trying to win it, because if you are able to win this and get into a game 3, everything's off the table then.
Yeah, and I mean, we're looking for the little wins here for MGE, right?
The 300 CS win condition is basically it now.
Into a Cloud Soul instead of an Infernal Soul or Ocean. Oh my god, that Guild Force almost took out Stringy Bird. And even that Guild Force did 1/4 of the max HP of the full health Sivir. And that's execute damage. That's nuts.
That hurts. And now somehow they have to continue to farm these waves. He's and at the very least,
they might have found him. He dashes back.
It's
he's
close.
Stunned up, and he's almost taken down. They threw it at the clone. He is down to about a little under 1/4 HP.
He doesn't have teleport though, so he's locked.
Yeah. That makes it more difficult for CeraForce to do what they want to do. Sure, you still have Caitlyn to siege up, but losing that LeBlanc to jump over and start to chip away at the health bars, or at least it's a lot more dangerous for her to do so now. And yeah, she has to go back to the mid wave.
Oh,
it's just ushering
assassination!
They found the Caitlyn. She goes golden, and Baby Girls is kicked back over the wall. Good job there by Chad Jungies, but some big ultimates burned out of CeraForce.
That is massive ultimates burned there, and now Clarice is in trouble. Going to get minion blocked.
Oh, what a
flame!
And Baby Girls, can he survive here? The ignite comes down.
Yes,
is he gonna go down? Saberwolf has enough damage. MGE, they found a pocket of chaos. Can they force anything out of it? Stringy Bird is gonna fall. No, a couple of key members falling, and this should be CeraForce cleaning things up. It looked like for a moment the stars aligned and MGE was gonna be able to hold on to their base, but CeraForce, they've been waiting for far too long. They finished playing with their food, possibly. Shutdown going on to the Blanc. Deku gonna fall as well. Is it a double kill for a little noob ardently within an auto attack of falling himself. He does have a red buff to take that HP back up and a little bit of sustain. So CeraForce is still going to look to end. It's a one-man mission on defense, but a couple of members starting to respawn now. CeraForce can not end the game, and they might have overstayed a little bit. Good spell shield on that on that binding. Claritz is going to block the hook
Here
as
comes the
well.
chase.
Biggest snowball ever. Will not find ardently. It's a good 50.
Oh my
We'll get him
lord!
to safety. Dead Junkies with the fadeaway shot. And now the cavalry has arrived. And CeraForce might get another chance at ending this one after all. Baby Girl's trying to make a hero play. But he's going to fall to the Claritz. And that's a super minion. That might be all you need. Deku is trying to do the dirty work in the Nexus. He goes golden to buy himself some time. That wall going to cut off his retreat path. Deku is very tanky and he will not fall. Oh my god, CeraForce, they're so greedy for going for this. They should have reset and finished the game by now. And the inhibitors have respawned.
They're back!
Oh my god. Now Saberwolf has rejoined the fight, and that means everybody's in
Jinjin's
danger
back!
once again. Great spell shield, but it's going to open up a window for Saberwolf to jump in. Flash forward from Deku, but the Sivir still lives. Saberwolf, he jumps again. He stuns up the Nunu. Ace
Okay,
in the
good
hole.
block.
Everybody's back on the map. CeraForce is half HP, but they take it in another hit inhibitor. Baby Girls has respawned, only to die again. After he trades one back, he does get away safely.
He's alive.
Saberwolf into the back line. He finds Sivir, and he doesn't go down just yet. Ardently on a rampage. Finally! I'm not even going to call it yet. Happo finds
Wait, they killed the Caitlyn! It's going still!
You don't have a Nexus killer anymore! My producer is screaming his head off in my ear, and that wraps up exactly how we feel on the desk. Saberwolf, what is that damage? I don't understand. Logic is being defied. Up is down. Forward is back. And Saberwolf will fall after he gets another kill. I'm going to lose my voice if I talk any longer. So Nightstar, good luck, my friend. Try to explain what we just saw.
So at this point, I'd like to see a timeline of when that first fight started, because it felt like a full 30 minutes of fighting. And it's obviously not that, because this game's only been 30 minutes. But yeah, that was such a long fight, and it was just respawn after respawn. Right when MGE respawned, they were right back at it. And it makes sense for MGE, right? Because for CeraForce, they still haven't spent their money. And so if MGE look for the fight right after they respawn, it really symbolizes their best opportunity to try and get one of these shutdowns to get some gold into their pockets and perhaps then stall the game. And now this time around, they have double super minions coming in from all lanes. At the very least, they're able to get money. But Ardently he's trying to finish this game himself.
He is so strong and he knows it.
Oh,
he's going to step forward. A little bit of damage coming out, but he's found one
Ardent.
kill already. GA is going to revive him. Karitz into the back line. Deku is on a one-man mission to take up this back line. Baby Girls. Right now, Saberwolf is in the base. He's trying to end. LOL Noob is going to go down. Ardently is still alive. Heppa will finally find him.
And Saberwolf.
It's a double kill for them, but Saberwolf, the savior of my sanity, he's going to usher these minions into the base and end the game. It's over, folks. Finally. A mercy killing from Saberwolf in game number 2.
Well,
I don't really feel like there's a whole lot of analysis to do for that one, Nightstar.
Welcome back to the analyst desk, where we just kind of stroke our chins and wonder what we just witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, CeraForce, it just felt disrespectful, right? They went into that game, they played their game, they got ridiculously ahead, and they said, you know what? We're the better team. Let's have some fun with it. And that's what I feel like we saw on Summoner's Rift here in game number 2. There's one more chance, I guess, for MG Eclipse to bring this one around. But we've seen more of the same now, 2 games in a row. It's going to take a miracle to pull off even a game at this point. But hey, I believe in miracles, and we've seen crazier here at Upsurge Contenders League. So, without further ado, let's get to those miracles. We're going to send it over to a quick break while these players get ready for game number 3. And I
hope they have a good sports drink.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. It's Audio and Nightstar, and kind of say that I'm sure glad we're having as fun of a series as we are, because if CeraForce has their way, it's gonna be a brief time together tonight.
It's been an entertaining night for sure. And I mean, at the very least, we're getting 3 games, which is as long as our other nights do go. So, hey, you get the bear, you get what usually is the maximum amount of audio star, this time at the bare minimum.
I love that. That is definitely our duo name now. You know, so many people say, "Oh, duo casting names are hard. They're just like no audio star." See, that easy.
It's so simple.
Perfect. Match made in heaven. CeraForce, they're going to be swapping onto the red side this game. So we are going to see the first, I guess, like big shakeup in the draft so far. Is there something that you want, or I'll ask, what do you want to change? It feels like right now there are just no good answers. Like they gave them the multiple choice test. The options were 14, 72, 5, and 9. And the answer you got was X. So, like, I don't know how they fixed the draft, but
that sounds like one of those college math tests where they give you all your answers and somehow you're left with x squared and you're just like, wait, how did we get here?
The one that's close, because
I can't even. How do I round x to an actual number?
Like that's what the jungle picks feel like to me right now. Nunu's the X, and like there are just so many bans coming through. It does feel like Jin Jin is just getting kind of tossed around here in the jungle. Chad Jungies, the level 1 invade after losing first blood. This man gets first blooded, comes back out onto Summoner's Rift, and beelines it for the enemy blue buff to steal it away and basically just win him the game. Win him his team the game from that point on. How do they approach it in game 3?
Yeah, I think for the side of MG Eclipse, they just had to. They really needed to be ready. And perhaps if you had baby girls actually throw down a teleport, you doom your lane, perhaps. But if you win that jungle fight level 1, the game is probably done. Because the Lee Sin can't ever come back into the game. You probably get 2 kills with the Jax there as well. Maybe another one goes onto the Jax, and at least you're not painfully behind in EXP in that regard. So I think they just have to really all in on this jungle matchup. Make sure that all other 4 players are on the same page in that they need to make sure that their non-jungle main, by the way, is able to win this jungle matchup.
Yeah, and one thing I want to see to help support that is winning lanes. Like Anivia and Sivir, it's great. I love the idea, but it's not going to work against CeraForce. You tried it 2 games in a row now. We saw 3 games of it last weekend in the quarterfinals. It doesn't work. Flip the script, pull some winning lanes that actually have priority and can go to help your jungler. We've seen MG Eclipse, although the game was never in their hands, there were moments when they were winning fights. So CeraForce, if you get scrappy with them, they will make mistakes. They will outposition. And that's your only chance to make something happen.
Yeah, and the side of CeraForce, they just love skirmishes way too much. So you can definitely bait them into unfavorable skirmishes. You just need the composition or the draft to do so. And I really think that if they were able to get something like an Orianna that has a little bit more ability to trade in the lane, perhaps things go a little bit differently. If they get the Syndra who can just force or shove the wave almost instantaneously, sure, it expends a lot of mana, but you just needed mid priority, and that just hasn't happened so far yet. And you've seen the jungle really suffer as a result of it.
Yeah, I mean, MG Eclipse, this is your anime redemption arc right here. You're down 0-2,
Reverse
you got brutalized like as hard as you possibly could, This is the point where, you know, Deku gets his quirk. He gets the superpowers. Oh wait, Deku's on CeraForce. That analogy doesn't even work. Oh god, CeraForce has the power of God and anime on their side, and Chad Jungies to top it all off. Never mind, MG Eclipse, you're doomed.
Yeah, well, MG Eclipse, they have to find the answer, and what they're going to do is they're going to fall back onto the Kai'Sa pick. Kai'Sa didn't get locked up by CeraForce in game number 2, and in fact, MG Eclipse, they didn't even opt for it either. So
I'd also
I don't know how I
point
feel.
out that Seraphine has been completely absent from this entire series. Neither team interested in picking or banning her. Oh, sorry, she was actually
It was
banned
in the second phase.
in game 1, second phase. So thank you, Piper and Nightstar for reminding me of that one. But just not a lot of high priority on it. Although I think it's a really good champion. Both these teams, they know what they want to do, and Seraphine has no place in that. And I'm glad that she's just off the board and no team is just even considering her, because I don't want to see her. And I don't want to see teams waste bans on her.
I think it, because of how skirmish focused the game has been, champions like Seraphine are going to be really hard to play around, because you want to try and protect the Seraphine. You also really need a jungler that you can play around, and so far they haven't been able to play around any of the picks Jinjin has taken up here. We'll see if the Olaf changes things, but Olaf, a very route intensive jungler here, because you want to be able to ramp up really quickly, farm jungle nonstop, and against Chad Jungies, Jinjin hasn't been able to path very well, and the pathing he has taken has been completely read by Chad Jungies. So we'll see what he goes for this pick. If he goes for a Nocturne, I don't think that's a good matchup, so I don't think it'll be a Nocturne pick.
Couple of options still left on the table. We haven't gotten into our second round jungle bans, and CeraForce locking the Lulu here, although they do get an incredibly powerful bot lane. They are going to probably get pinched here in the jungle. I'd expect MG Eclipse having their jungler to just throw in 2 more at Chad Jungies.
Yep. I would assume it's something like a Nidalee. If you ban the Nidalee, I think Chad Jungies just goes for the Giga Flex and just locks in Karthus, just saying, yes, I counterpicked myself, but there's no way you can beat me anyways. Or he just falls back onto Lee Sin, but Lee Sin does get taken away.
Yeah, it will. And this Olaf now, we've seen the first piece of the puzzle. The bot lane, I'm okay with that just being a Kai'Sa Vayne farm fest, but this mid lane and top lane, I really want to see MG Eclipse get something for themselves. You're going to have to blind one of them, probably top lane, but get yourself at least one good matchup for this Olaf to play around, please.
Yeah, it would have to be the top side. They could go for a Camille, but Camille's just not in MG Eclipse's champ pool, really. They could go, let's see, they've gone for GP, they've gone for Vladimir, Silas. I think Silas would be a pretty solid option, being able to match the Shen ult with your own and still have skirmish potential. Can also shove out the wave early on top side. So that could be a really nice pick here. And then I really want to see a Victor. A Victor really does well for Eclipse, because you don't necessarily shove super well levels 1 through 4 or even to level 5, but you get that upgrade and your life just changes immensely, and the team fighting is just a lot better than a champion like a Nivea.
Yeah, and Jarvan picked up here for CeraForce. He's going to offer them another layer of engage. MG Eclipse, there's one lane that you can play around. It's the Darius. Baby Girl's throwing down the gauntlet there in the top side against that Shen, and they're going to blind Lux into the mid lane.
Okay. So going for Lux,
Lux, I would say, is probably the weakest out of the
Not what you like
control
to hear to start
mages?
that one off.
But perhaps the extra catch potential is what you're looking for, having the bind on a very short cooldown. The cat's very interested as well. Is it's like, what is this mid lane matchup? What's going on here?
Gonna be.
And we see the Soraka, but so it is going to be a Soraka, and it could be a Soraka mid. I've been told it's a Soraka mid, but Lulu mid could also be possible if they really wanted to last second swap it over. But both of these mid laners going to do adequately into a Lux. And at this point, I think it's also CeraForce just really trying to style on MG Eclipse with this draft, where there's like everything said, some sort of assassin in the mid lane here for this matchup, and they went for a Soraka.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly how that ends up turning out. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to get anything this crazy, but I do just want to point out that all 5 of these champions for CeraForce have been known to play in like 3 or more lanes. We've seen the Vayne top and bot. We've seen the Lulu top mid support. The Shen goes all over. So like,
hey,
the
Caps played it,
possibilities, if you wanted to go like uber troll for CeraForce, they could have sent like Soraka top, like Vayne jungle. Like there was so much they could have done. But it is going to be Shen top, the Jarvan in the jungle, Soraka mid going up against that Lux, and the Vayne and the Lulu in the bot lane. I think this is probably the best iteration of this draft that you could have had. The Lulu pairing her alongside of the Vayne is so important. It allows that lane to be aggressive against the Kai'Sa Alistar, especially early levels. That level 1 is horrible for the Alistar up against Vayne Lulu. You can't approach the wave at all. But MG Eclipse, they're not going to want to. We know exactly where they're going to try to play to. And we'll see if Jin is actually able to make anything happen in the top side, or if Chad Jungies is going to shut him down like he has done so much already today.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting that they go for a Darius pick here because of the fact that they already showed the Jarvan early on, or right before their pick. And if Jarvan ults Olaf and Darius, he can flash out of his Cataclysm. And then Olaf and Darius are just like, I guess we're here? We're trapped? Someone free us, please? So they really have to be cognizant of their flash cooldowns when it comes to these team fights. If they don't have flash on these 2 members, team fights will never go well.
No, they absolutely won't. And MG Eclipse, any members really that get stuck inside that pit are going to be... you're just kind of stuck there. Kai'Sa the only one that can really escape out of there with the ultimate. But CeraForce have so much mobility. They have so much chase potential with that Jarvan and that Shen. MG Eclipse are going to have a rough time getting into that back line and actually finding meaningful damage onto this Vayne. Although I will say the one big crutch of CeraForce's composition that is very reliant on Ardently on this Vayne. If MG Eclipse are able to somehow shut this Vayne down, then it's just a bunch of big old meatballs with a bunch of heals. We're looking at like Overwatch GOATS meta.
I'm looking at Chad Jungies going for the Eclipse build.
Oh, God.
This
you
is...
opened my mind to the possibilities, and I don't like it.
This is Chad Jungies just going for Eclipse, going in. Heppo, no chance. Lol Noob, no chance. And he is, this backline is going to be terrified when it comes to these first couple of team fights if Chad Jungies gets ahead. So I think it's more contingent on him getting ahead. But if we've seen the previous 2 games, and I believe both of us did watch 2 games of this already, Chad Jungies is going to be coming out ahead early game. And they have to put all the resources into this Olaf basket early game.
game might have been a stretch. I feel like I watched 2 warm-up matches coming out from CeraForce.
Is the series starting yet?
Yeah, they were just in the practice tool the whole time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. MG Eclipse, though, we did see Baby Girls get ahead last game. I hesitate to say that, he was the captain of his own destiny in that game, because that 3-man dive into the triple kill was wrapped up in a nice pretty little bow, but we've seen it happen once, so who's to say it can't happen again? This Darius, should he get accelerated, is going to be a champion that can 1v9 sooner than the Jax. Jax is a 1v9 champion for sure and can carry harder than arguably the Darius can. But the Darius, if you just get him to that first item or those first 2 items accelerated, then he is online and he is ready. So I guess that's, in my mind, where MG Eclipse is looking for their miracle the most. If it can come out of the Darius, then who knows? Maybe you've got a shot at bringing us to a game number 4.
Yeah, and that's the key difference, is the fact that Darius is going to be able to team fight at 2 items, whereas Jax wanted 3. Having Stride Breaker and then into the Sterix Gauge allows the Darius to then join team fights and try and force the fight. We'll see how effective he'll be at roaming around the map, because more than likely he's going to be sitting on Flash Ghost, because that's traditionally the summoners you do run on Darius. He could go for the teleport, but again, double movement almost imperative on this champion. And that's where, the 2 champions we just have to watch. MG, it's this Olaf and this Darius. This entire game will be spelled out by those 2 champions.
Well, we are going to join the teams on a Summoner's Rift for what could be our very last game of the night. CeraForce 1 win away from securing the oh-so-wonderful prize of a finals match against CBT. But with as good as they're looking today, who knows? Maybe that'll be an interesting match to watch. Going to be the line of scrimmage coming out from both these squads again.
No level 1.
No level 1. Yeah, and it is not just the CBT match
with CBT.
Yeah, the winner also gets a minimum of 750 cash prize. So that's also a really nice incentive to hurry.
Solid consolation prize.
Right.
But yeah, we don't see any level 1 shenanigans here. Honestly, I would have liked to see that, because if you look on the side of CeraForce, their level 1 is pretty bad. At best, you get Q on to the supports, the double supports, but Vayne doesn't do a whole lot level 1. J4 definitely doesn't do a whole lot level 1. And then you have this Olaf who's terrifying at level 1. And then the Alistar, also very good at level 1 invades. So missed opportunity, but I can understand that after poking the CeraForce bear in game number 1 with their level 1 and just get absolutely wrecked on the return level 1.
LOL Noob and Ardently did trade their health bars there early on before the wave. Now, that's doesn't seem like much. However, it is going to mean that the Vayne has to be a lot more cautious of his level 2 coming in. And you can see Chad Jungies, he's walking down. Mid lane, though, are we going to see a first blood level 2?
Wait.
Heal comes out. Heppo in the bottom lane. LOL Noob is 1 HP. Ardently going to go forward to get that kill. The barrier to save him from the ignite. No way he lives from that one. CeraForce, 2 kills for themselves. What should have been a trade is just pure profit.
Is the game starting yet? Did the game start yet? It was very interesting how Heppo took that trade in the mid lane, because again, he doesn't have a combat summoner, whereas Saberwolf had the heal. So Heppo just got really hard heal baited, and you should be able to press tab.
I mean, I feel like that's just a case of oh, that's a support, right? A support can't kill thee. And
Wait,
then
Lux is a
Heppo-
support too.
I know, but she is, Soraka is a support. Like Soraka is
Heppo
only
forgot.
intended to be a support. At least Lux was originally, or like a bit later, has been mid a lot of times. But yeah, that is just disastrous now for MGE because this early game needed to be the place where they got ahead. And now down 2 kills, and one of those kills into the pocket of Ardently. Oh man.
It begins. He's lost
And
the
it
camp
does.
already. However,
And,
baby girls. Woo!
Yeah, if this is all he's able to get, though, I mean, Deku is just feeling great up here. He's got that door and shield ticket away. He knows that as long as he does not die, it does not matter how much farm he is down, because his team has got his back.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, for MGE, one of the things I would have liked to see come out would have been vertical jungling here, because if they take control, swap sides, they can definitely utilize that pressure to put the hurt onto this Shen. However, they don't do that, and now once again Olaf is playing on a quarter of his map.
Yeah, he's already 2 or 3 camps up. The bot lane gonna try to look for something, but
Here we
Chad
go.
Junkies is here again. Condemn into the wall, and Ardently's the executioner. Stringy Bird flashes away. Ardently will not turret dive a second time, but he will walk away with his second kill.
Second kill here, and nowhere close to dying this time around. They're going to be able to shove this wave out. Not quite in time to get the crash or get it to fully crash and deny minions, but at the very least, they should be able to look to get their recall in and able to get some items, because Ardently should be sitting on a pretty healthy chunk of gold at this moment. And now we're going to see a little bit of a jungle invade coming at from Jin. And also this time around, we do see a different style of junglers being more of a flip, where Jin, he's on the power farmer, and Chad, he's going to be looking to make as many gains as possible.
Pulverized. Claritz is going to go down here unless the Stayed United
Deku
is able to save him. Deku coming in clutch, and that actually gets him out of a pretty bad situation too, because Jin had been sitting up there for about 30 seconds, and they were looking for the dive probably on that wave. He gets to save his support, go back to base, and teleport to lane with a Bomby Cinder.
Yeah, going to go ahead, teleport back to lane. Doesn't miss out too much there. And probably didn't just want to walk into lane anyways. Now that he has his purchase into baby girls, now he can look for a little bit more, but I would have much preferred to see something like the Bramble Vest to actually be able to match some of the trades rather than the Bomby Cinder.
Yeah, not too concerned as of yet, though. Dragon on the table. I would almost like to see CeraForce starting to stack these up early. It does feel like they kind of have prio wherever they want it, especially with Vayne being 2-0. And, you don't need to pick up the Dragon. CeraForce is fine just getting straight up lane advantages and extending that laning phase as long as they can. But if you can force MGE into needing to fight around a 25-minute win condition, one of the most effective ways at closing these games out. As Stringy Bird looking for a roam here. But Jin has made his way into the bot lane. Ardently still level 5.
He's here at last.
And the Lulu does not have ultimate. Shutdown coming through as the Ragnarok is popped. Second axe gonna land. The undertow is gonna force the flash, but they will keep hitting. One more will do it. Jin finding 2 kills for MGE in the bot side.
And I will have to say, my iPad thought I was saying something else there, but we do see a kill in this top lane as Deku gets himself that kill. Chad Jungies influencing the map, and while they are able to again, this is kind of the expected play that MGE would be able to secure this dragon. At the very least, CeraForce find a way to trade back topside.
See if they can get this dragon here. Stringy Bird is going to make sure that nobody can
Ardently.
interrupt the smite, but he will go down. Can they find the burst onto the Vayne? She has a lot of shielding to back her up, and there's a double kill
Double
already.
supports!
Isa knows she's been had, nowhere to go. Claritz will grab one for himself, but Ardently 4-1-1 now. MGE at least grab a dragon for themselves.
Yeah, this double supports on a Vayne. The Vayne is never under any threat in that case. And yeah, even though they were able to get the dragon, the fight afterwards, there was no fight. Because their health bars were just that low, and losing 2 kills immediately afterwards, going onto the Vayne, is still a very disastrous trade for MGE.
And if you're MGE, it's not even the wrong play to go for the dragon. I mean, you got a kill on the bot side. Chad Jungies made a play in the top lane, and so the natural response is to pick up the dragon. But it's just the fact that they are so far behind, and Ardently can do things like this. He blocks the W from Kaisa from hitting Claritz. Really good job protecting his support. But the power that Vayne Lulu provides is way too damn strong that MGE are not able to get anything for themselves. And now Chad Jungies is here, which means this dive is very possible. The
No ult on Stringy Bird.
Alistar is not level 6, but they're going to channel the TP. LOL Noom is going to flash away. Deku's already got the kill, though. Baby Girls gets one back. That actually goes into the pocket of the Kaisa. He's got the pull onto
Could be a
Deku.
reset.
Looking to for the ult, but Chad Jungies won't let him have it. The interrupt into the kill. CeraForce. They might want to continue this play. Kaisa's down to under half HP.
Oh no.
Epo once again in supportal combat, but back to the main
Chad?
feature. Deku, he's taking tower shot, and it's a shutdown. That's her second of the dive. Saber Wolf is going to find a kill. Flashes away to safety. Oh my god, Soraka, 1 turret shot, 2. The third, not even going to need it. Shutdown for the Olaf. A scrappy couple of minutes. CeraForce comes out on top, especially with that play. But again, MGE, at this point, they're thankful that they can just get a couple of kills back for themselves.
And once again, we're into about 5 minutes of skirmishes and fights and non-stop. This time around, MGE have a more skirmishy composition draft laid out for them. And yet, once again, they find when they come into these fights, CeraForce just do better. They do scuff up that last dive at the very end, which is kind of egregious. But at the same time, with how much they've gotten away with, I can understand why they just keep going for it regardless.
Yeah, and it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point, because after those last 2 games, you know, MGE, they can't be feeling great about wanting to make proactive plays when every single one isn't going their way. But if you don't make a play, CeraForce is just going to run you over anyway. So they're trying to make something happen. Claritz now is a target. Heal comes out. He will finally go down and not trade anything back. Good job, MGE. That's a purely positive trade for them.
Well, they finally did it. They got out to a positive trade.
Okay, I maybe I spoke too soon. They look like they want to go for more.
Oh wait, they're in it. They're trapped.
Alistar has the ultimate, but he's trapped inside the Cataclysm.
They're all trapped.
That Junkies gets 1. There goes the second. How did Alistar lose the turret aggro there? Stringy Bird is somehow the last man alive. Good pulverize, but the flag and drag was waited out, and Chad Jungies is on a rampage. Darius doing what he can, just picking up plates.
Yeah, Darius didn't have the teleport up available. He also doesn't have the ghost to try and chase down this Soraka. And that was a series of events. The fights just don't stop, Audio. And you know, I really hope you've got a gallon of honey tea after this because you're gonna need it.
We'll be sure to go through the whole kit and caboodle after the stream. Ardent Lee's 2 levels down, but he's got no care in the world. He's a mid
He has a
laner now.
mythic.
Yeah, he can do anything he wants, and if he does get in trouble, as the snare does land, okay. Heppo, good job. Landed his abilities. See, that is still an ADC, everybody.
That's what is traditionally called vein spotting, but it's also just I think CeraForce really just this is what we call limit testing.
Yeah, if you're ardently, that's when you start complaining about how weak of a role ADC is, because any other role, if you get this far ahead, you can 1v1 anybody. But
yeah, I have a mythic.
Can 1v1 an ADC.
Why can't I 1v1 someone?
Exactly. Hey, Baby Girls is doing like no damage to Deku here. He has the Stride Breaker item advantage, but Deku is just playing under his tower. And there's no threat whatsoever. LOL Noob is baiting him into the bush. Hellbit Pulverize. Stand United immediately channeled, and now Ardently can resume the hunt. LOL Noob is the target. Target the Kaisa, please. The minion's doing work. Ardently's gonna fall. It's going to be a trade of ADCs, and now it's the Portal Combat, but Stringy Bird has the health bars. Disaster in the bot lane for CeraForce.
That was absolute disaster as Baby Girls died to make sure that play could go through. However, Lil Noob going down there, not being able to cash in on both of the kills, definitely not optimal in that bot lane situation. But at the very least, they were able to shut down both of those laners. And Ardently, I mean,
Just these better targets. I mean, I won't say better target selection. Ardently has been very good all series long, but in that situation, I think he put like 5 or 6 auto attacks to start off into the ulted Alistar. If Tho goes on to the Kaisa instead, that is a massively one play for CeraForce, probably turning into a bot lane Drake. But those small mistakes were capitalized on. Good job from MGE to start off that play, and even though it was a small blunder, they finished it off still.
Yeah, and now, I mean, you see these aggressive plays coming out from Ardently, and he's been punished successfully. But the issue is...
Yeah, not going to get punished here, as LOL Noob has to flash away. Chad Jungies is around, and that means that you're going to die, because he's going to chase you all the way into the base if he needs to. He's unstoppable now, but he's still in turret range.
Oh, he's still alive! Moonstone!
Madman is going to keep him alive with the ultimate. Heppu must be frustrated. He'll take his anger out on that cute little Yordle sitting there.
Or will he?
Clarit's so annoying. He walks away. Look at his health bar on the side of your screen. There is no green there. He has got to be on single-digit HP. And Jin, if he can land the undertow, Stride Breaker will land and is able to finally find it. Ardently now is way out of his comfort zone, and he's going to fall too. Chad Jungies, the heal from Gore Drinker keeps him alive, and he's actually able to find the kill. And Jin, Daver Wolf will get him back up to a much healthier position.
Chad Jungies
going to lay a trap! Stringy Bird walked right by him, and Stand United will bring Deku into the party. CeraForce, after that fight, will get to clear out the entire jungle. My God, what a play.
I think that was like another 3 minutes of fighting right there. Anyways, I was touching on Ardently going aggressive as Lil Noob is going to die, but Ardently, he's been going so aggressive, and you see that it has been punished. The issue is that's when he only has one support on him. When it comes to these team fights, he's going to have 2. And once these 2 supports join hands, I don't think it's punishable anymore, as Clarit's will get punished here.
Yeah, farming as a Lulu in the mid lane, under tower, no less. Meanwhile, though, it's a play in the top side, and Hippo is starting to do some
They're skirmishing
serious damage. He helps take down one more, make it another. As Deku's gonna fall. Baby girls on the Darius is gonna get credit for
They're
that
skirmishing.
one. They're skirmishing, and they're
Oh, no!
Night Star. Saber Wolf, he's only gone down once so far this game. He ducks, he dodges, he weaves, but he dances his way to an early grave. MGE getting a couple of really good kills for themselves.
Yeah, meanwhile, they did lose bot lane tower. So they lose a tier 2 tower. At the very least, they're gaining moral victories while they're still able to match the turrets. So there's only been 2 turrets taken in this game from both of these teams, and both of them are just tier 2 towers on the flip side of the map.
This game is personal for MGE. They don't care about the towers. They just want to vent their frustrations on CeraForce right now. These skirmishes are therapeutic. And the Dragon's going to give them one more arena to fight around. Deku in the top lane, but Stand United
Clarice
just about to come off cooldown. Clarice steps way too far forward and is probably definitely going to fall. Teleports be United, but it's a double kill already for Jin Jin. Heppo has so much DPS here. As the jungler is going to fall
That's
now.
a shutdown.
MGE coming up massive in another skirmish. Saber Wolf is going to try to do what he can. Ace coming through for MGE. And now it's the Baron will be their prize. Forget the Dragon. Well, no, baby girls will go pick that one up. Don't forget it. They're going to try to go for both.
They'll get the 2-for-1 special. There should be no contest. Deku is up in 5 seconds. Clarice is now up, but you're not contesting the Dragon with those 2 members. So MGE finding their way back. And I mean, this game at this point here, you have the range with the Lux to really outmatch everyone on the side of CeraForce. And for CeraForce, yes, you have this core that's really strong in the Lulu Soraka vein. But at this point in the game, because I would say Chad Jungies is due to Chad Jungies' build, he's more of a bruiser rather than an assassin, which means that the backline members on the side of MGE will be able to play the game at some point. We'll see if Kaisa ever gets into it because she's still sitting at 3, 8, and 10.
Yeah, and especially with MGE being in the gold lead now for really the first time all series, it's obviously you have to say that this is now in their hands. They have a chance to come back into this game, but I want to put a little bit of an asterisk next to that because CeraForce, it still feels like they're almost playing with their food a little bit. Even in that last fight, we saw Deku in the top lane. Ardently wasn't really anywhere to be seen. They were very scattered across the rift, and I haven't seen a lot of urgency yet from CeraForce this game. A willingness to show up for fights, to actually play the front-to-back composition that they've set up for themselves. Hopefully that Baron was a bit of a wake-up call for them. Hopefully now they take things a little bit more seriously because those fights are no longer guaranteed. However, they can still go their way if they execute well. And if this series have showed us anything, it's that CeraForce have been the superior team fighting team. Their macro, though, may need a little work. They're not going to win this push against Baron.
Yeah, the speed run is not working out.
The target here, they're diving into the base, and the members are not here yet, but have MGE chased too far. They're under the Nexus towers.
Jin Jin.
You don't need to be here. Chaz Youngi's doing a lot to buy time in the back line. Ardently's already found his first kill, and now he's untouched, ripping through the health bars in the back. Double kill now, and he wants more. He smells the blood in the water. There's 3. There's his 4th. And he couldn't make the triple happen, or the penta happen, but he got damn close. CeraForce find an ace for themselves, and yeah, they started playing with their monitors on.
That was Jin Jin saying, "I really, really want to just sit Chad Jungies down. I really, really need to vent."
after games 1 and 2. And unfortunately for the rest of his team, while Olaf is very strong, they don't have any follow-up damage afterwards. This Kaisa is so far behind, has even gone for Collector, which is a terrible second item when you're behind. And they are desperately behind. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to find execution range with this Collector, especially with how much healing and shielding is coming out from the side of CeraForce. So that's why you see when the Killer Instinct went down, there was just nothing left. And now they're skirmishing again.
Fight. We see Jinjin on one fight. Here's the other fight ensuing. Look at that healing. Ardently is just a drain tank. The Darius is doing work on one side. But now the rest of the team is going to join in. And Baby Girl's sitting here like, hey guys, I won my fight. Where is everybody else? He's going to try to 1v5. But his damage is just immediately erased by Saberwolf. There is no, I repeat, no grievous wounds on the side of MGE right now. And Heppo, he's going to lead him on a chase. Ardently will eventually take him down. Another ace coming in from CeraForce. And yeah, LOL Noob is going to come up now. 10 seconds on Jinjin. This will at least be a inhibitor. We'll see if CeraForce want to go for more. Last game, they stuck around for about 6 waves to try to end.
They stuck about, I don't know, like 6 years? You say 6 waves, I say 6 years. Because it felt like they were in that base forever.
They're learning. They're learning. They're going to back off now. Dragon going to be spawning here in about 30 seconds. They can go for it should they choose. Still feeling very healthy thanks to...
Oh, Baby Girls is here.
Yeah, Baby Girls is here.
Use the teleport.
Can they actually win the fight? Stand United charge onto Ardently. They need to take out the Vayne right now or they're going to lose the fight. She's been separated and she's been shut down. Now they're channeling into the teleport. This is your fight, MGE. If you want to save it, Deku goes golden. And there's the execute. They forced Sarah away. They've caught them off guards. And they're going to get the Cloud Soul as a reward. Jinjin, once again, it's personal. He's trying to chase down Chad Jungies. This is for game 1, game 2, and game 3. And if I get lucky, maybe game 4, because I'm sure you'll bully me then too.
And this game has just been a story of 2 carries. It's essentially Olaf against the Vayne. You have a little bit second fiddle here coming in from both squads as well, with the Lux being able to contribute a little bit here, and also then the Jarvan. But the Darius, yes, he's 6'5" and 2. It doesn't feel like his damage has been giga relevant until the very end of a couple of these fights. And for the side of CeraForce, I mean, you have double supports, you know? You're able to augment these carries very well, but you yourself aren't able to necessarily pump out the damage
to run away.
if you lose your carry early on.
That Cloud Soul making all of MGE so speedy here as they set up around the Baron. And honestly, I just want to see CeraForce commit to the death ball, the front to back. I don't think we've seen them lose a fight where all 5 members are in position. It's when they overreach, and more importantly, when Ardently is left alone, that MGE is able to find these scrappy fights and able to find these big shutdowns. But now all 5 members are here, and the Baron is on the table. Again, thanking their lucky stars that it's just a Cloud Soul, that we're not looking at an Infernal or, God forbid, an Ocean Soul to go on top of those 2 supports.
Yeah, Ocean Soul would have been the alternative.
There's the engagement.
I think Ardently's dead.
Again! He has no support there next to him. And they're gonna find another 1 fight. Chad Jungies flag and drag to safety, but Baby Girls will make sure that he goes down. CeraForce, Jinjin is trying to just run them out of their jungle, stop the backs, and MGE are gonna start up this Baron. I don't know. Do you believe in miracles? Because MGD does. They've gotten enough fights now, Nightstar, where we have to consider them, you know, in lead and maybe looking at ending this game, maybe taking us to a game 4.
Yeah, and I mean, it shows.
Our producer's crying right now.
It shows the difference with CeraForce that you see the inexperience playing together here. And just the fact that in games 1 and 2, they won out skirmishes so hard, they were then able to kind of steamroll the game afterwards. This time around, they traded evenly in skirmishes. While they won a skirmish down bot, they lost a skirmish up top. They were just nonstop going for skirmishes. And now when it comes to these full-on team fight phase where they should be really successful, they aren't coordinated enough to be like, all we have to do is sit on top of Vayne, have the front line sit in front of Vayne, and that's all we need to do. They just haven't done it. And I'm not sure if it's whether it's respect or
Chad Jungies, though, he's gone in.
He's too
LOL
far.
Noob has a lot of damage and just trying to turn him around. Saberwolf's going to try to keep him alive, but there's the burst damage.
Baby
And
girl's here
Jungler
at the
is
end of the
down.
game.
Ardently is still alive, but it gets pulled in by Darius. Luluwalt comes through, but they need to kill the Vayne,
That's
and
game.
they've done so. That's going to be the game here. There's no carries left. MGE have done it. Well, I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. They should do it here in the base, but death timer's about 30 seconds. Baby girl has the TP to rejoin this fight.
recall coming
And
in, teleport on the minion.
CeraForce have no carries left. They should be able to MGE should be able to finish this one off. 15 seconds left on the Vayne. Deku trying to buy some time, but the second Nexus turret has fallen, and MGE, they've got the target they need. They're going to pad their stats there at the end of it all. And we're headed to a game 4. Ladies and gentlemen, I guess Jin hasn't had enough yet. He wants one more game of playing against this
Jin, he's not ready for Din Din.
I didn't hear no bell.
So, you know what? It was a great Olaf performance. He took advantage of the matchup as he should. And while Chad Jungies was still successful in that game, if you look at his end score, he found the ganks nonstop. He was able to snowball the lanes that weren't, that didn't have Olaf in it. It was just a character flaw in Ardently. He got caught out nonstop, and it was just a classic Vayne spotting episode. You know, he chased after kills in the mid lane. He got caught by the blind, one shot, /ALL lol ADC is basically what happened that game. And I mean, moving into game number 4, I expect a different pick from the Vayne. I really think that draft was a lot of just CeraForce saying, we have a 2-game lead. Let's just play picks we want to play and see if we win.
Yeah. But if you're just going to play picks, why are you drafting double support Vayne? Like a protective Vayne comp. It was front to back was the game plan for CeraForce, you know, through and through.
That's Ardently doing the draft.
Yeah, they played like game number 2 where they had the Lee Sin and they had all the aggro picks. But CeraForce, I mean, they're still pretty dominant in this series. We still feel like they're coming in hot. They're coming in favored. But they've now shown some chinks in the armor. They've shown a weakness to overfighting, even when they don't need to. And that's something that MGE has been able to exploit a couple of times now with a game win under their belts. Can they pull off any more? Can they maybe take us to a game 5? Or is CeraForce going to pull it together here in game 4 and wrap this series up? We'll have to see on the other side of this short break. We'll see you there for game number 4. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking by throughout the series. We're now into game number 4 between CeraForce and MGE. And it's been a doozy. We didn't think we were going to make it this far, Nightstar. Coming into game 3, it was kind of all right, done and dusted. CeraForce is just the better team. But with that composition, I mean, you called out vein spotting over and over and over and over and over and over as CeraForce continued to give fights over to MGE. And all the supports in the world could not have saved the vein in that game. So here we are in game number 4, where I guess the only question we're gonna have to ask is, what is the draft gonna look like, and what junglers are we gonna see? Because it's been looking like CeraForce, if they get aggressive picks, then they usually win the skirmishes and it's over in 20 minutes. It's when they try to play scaling that things have been getting wonky. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't necessarily think the scaling was too much of an issue. I think it was more like they finally allowed Jinjin to play the game.
Yeah.
So Jinjin, the thing I took away from that last game was, if you let Jinjin get to play the game changes a lot. And it's not necessary that Jinjin was hard slamming the side of CeraForce in these mid-late game team fights. It was just the fact that the team could all of a sudden play 5v5s because they have a 5th member on the team. Because in the previous 2 games, Jinjin didn't exist. Let's be real. He just wasn't contributing. And that time, that game number 3, he did get to contribute, and you saw a world of difference. And yes, CeraForce did indeed have a big illness known as vein spotting, but that doesn't cover up the fact that MGE still went out and won the game.
Well, CeraForce back on blue side for this game, where they picked up both of their 2 wins. So maybe that was it, Nightstar. Maybe
it's just
the
blue side.
Bad luck on red side. But they're gonna go back to the Udyr bands. It's the same bands we've seen all series long. As the Kindred comes through, likely see the Hecarim to follow. Come on, CeraForce, make me look smart. I'm a genius.
So here's the change for CeraForce if they want to. They could go ahead and just drop the Tristana ban and go ahead and ban Olaf for that 3rd one if they really wanted to. And then for first pick, they could just lock in Tristana. But it looks like they're just uncomfortable playing with the Tristana because 3 games now, they've banned it away. And that is including 2 games of blue side where they ended up first picking an AD carry anyways.
Yeah, it's been a lot of Kaisa priority here for CeraForce, which is surprising, seeing how many jungle bans there are coming through. You know, you would think ban away all the best junglers and pick whatever's left for yourself. But it is going to be the Tristana ban here, so Olaf's still on the table. CeraForce could turn towards it if they wanted to as well. It would definitely fit their style of in-your-face trying to take away camps. And MG Eclipse, they've got 1 more ban left. We also see things like the Lee Sin up. CeraForce really like that.
Graves
one in game number
still
2.
up.
Graves as well. Hovering the Shen, though, maybe just trying to crack open Deku on that top lane. That Darius wasn't able to really get much done early, but we did see once he got going in the later stages, felt a lot better.
It is a little wild to see that they go ahead ban away the Shen, even though they've shown that they can do well against the Shen with the Jax and then the Darius. And it's not like both of these lanes, even with the large gifting of kills over onto Jax, it's not like the Shen was able to hard punish it anyways. And we are going to see the Kaisa being the first pick. They didn't go for it in game number 2, instead going for a Caitlyn, but with the Tristana off the table, they just want budget Tristana.
Yeah, I mean, Nightstar, we have our differing opinions on the strength of Kaisa. I wouldn't necessarily call her a budget Tristana.
She's budget Tristana.
MG Eclipse do get the Olaf back for themselves, so Jin will at
Mhm.
least have agency here in the early game.
Mhm.
We'll see how much of that agency Chad Junkies is able to take away. They lock in the Nautilus to pair
Graves.
alongside that Kaisa, and they have the opportunity to go towards the Graves. Also see the Lisa on the table, but with this draft in game number 2, I believe it was the Graves. Echo, this would be interesting. It's been banned away a couple
Blind
of times.
pick.
CeraForce locks it in.
So a blind pick here leads me to imagine that Chad Jungies is saying, if it's a bad matchup mid, let me just take it into the jungle and I will ruin them.
Yeah.
Echo, definitely not the pick to take into an Olaf if you're going for a straight up jungle matchup. But Chad Jungies has been able to influence the side lane. So if he gets snowballed on this Echo by finding kills on the side or in these lanes, it could definitely get out of hand very quickly. And for MG Eclipse, they go ahead, lock themselves in the Rel. I'm a little bit surprised it's not the Thresh because it gives Aphelios that repositioning ability. But Rel is very powerful into compositions that are just looking to just run at you, which is exactly Nautilus and Echo.
Yeah, and we've already seen that CeraForce, they have a tendency to be out of position, and Rel is a really good champion against those teams that have those tendencies because she just offers almost unparalleled engage when you're linking up with your jungler. And it will be a great addition to the team. Now, though, MG Eclipse get a chance to ban out some of those picks, try to force that Echo into the jungle, at least get a good matchup for themselves as Graves is taken off the table. CeraForce took away the Darius from Baby Girls, and the Lee Sin will be the next one. So CeraForce, will it be a mid lane? Will it be the jungle? We'll have to see.
They could go for a Jax ban here or something of the like. They will go for the Seraphine ban, trying to deny it away from mid lane. It does make sense, just because this composition is so powerful with the Rel Olaf that a Seraphine probably takes it over the top. But now you're looking at something like an Orianna or a Victor. Really nice control mage, I think, would be a good fit here for Eclipse. And this could be the Rumble mid, or it could be a Rumble top. I guess they hold it for that
we don't
option.
know.
But I imagine because it's a melee matchup in this mid lane, you're going to send it into the Echo.
Yeah, and how does that look for the Echo side? Because CeraForce, we know they're kind of waiting to see how that Echo matchup works out. Would you take it into a Rumble?
I think it really depends on. I personally wouldn't want to send it in.
Oh, Saber Wolf pulls it out. It is going to be Chad Jungies on the
All
Echo.
right, it's a Rumble top.
And, he's going to take out the Zed. Yeah, there's no way you're sending Rumble against that.
Oh,
What?
okay, they go for the cannon here, so it looks like they
Oh,
want to opt
boy.
for the Rumble here. So my imagination, or what I imagined in my head, was you send the Rumble into the top side because Rumble into a melee matchup is just disgustingly good, and then you can get some sort of neutralizing mid in this mid lane against the Zed, where you can probably run a Malphite if you really wanted to, or some sort of really bruiser. Kled also fantastic matchup into the Zed. The Zed just has no counterplay into it because even with the death mark, it basically dismounts it dismounts Kled, so you can't actually kill him. But we end up seeing this Kennen pick. That's the pick to watch, because if he falls behind, this is a terrible, terrible composition to play Kennen into.
Yeah, and MG Eclipse, they're going to have to go forward right? They have to be feeling good this game because you do not want to be on the back foot with absolutely no front line, not a lot of peel tools. This is designed to just be, like you said, cannon ults, and you're throwing everything down on top of it. The equalizer, the rail diving in, Olaf is trying to jump forward, because if that play doesn't work out and anybody has to deal with this Zed or this Echo trying to dive onto you, they're gonna pop like a balloon. So MG Eclipse, I like this mindset though. Going into game number 4, they know that the last one might have been handed to them just a little bit, and they're going to take that inch and try to go a mile with it. You know, if you can just power through this early game, keep it scrappy, somehow inflate someone with gold, who knows? Maybe we'll see a game number 5. I hate to even bring it up, but
yeah,
and
and
good for the fans.
the wombo potential still is there for MG Eclipse, and that's so the clear MO for this composition is fight around objectives. It comes down to these dragons, it comes down to the Rift Heralds or the Baron buff. In fact, this game, it's almost imperative that they fight for Rift Herald here. A lot of the team compositions, I'm pretty happy to pass on that if I don't need it, or if I can trade out on the opposite half of the map. I'm okay with letting Rift Herald go, but this team demands fights around that area. If they cannot find them, if CeraForce don't give those fights, CeraForce probably run away with this game pretty handily.
Yeah, for sure. And the most important thing that I want to see is the pathing out of Jin Jin, because we talked about swapping over from top lane. That might have been the question mark. Olaf needs to be efficient in his clearing. You need to take advantage of the fact that you have one of the fastest clears in the game and you are such an early game powerhouse. If we walk out of, the 10-minute mark and Jin Jin hasn't had much of an impact and is sitting down in CS, I think that's disaster state for MG Eclipse, and CeraForce will start to run away with the game past that point, because it's not long into the game that Olaf starts dropping off if you don't utilize it.
Yeah, and it's also just the fact that you look at the composition from CeraForce. If they're not funneled into choke points or funneled or forced to contest objectives, they're so mobile. You have an Echo, you have a Zed, you have a Kaisa. Like, how do you lock these targets down to actually kill them with your ultimates? Like, the cannon has to chase people down. So that's why they have to get into these situations where there's no escape from the Rumble and the cannon ultimate. If they're stuck, if they only have one available, they're in trouble.
Yeah, which makes the point of execution pretty high for the side of MGE. It's a lot easier to avoid falling into the perfect team fight, avoid all funneling into the same choke, than it is to catch your opponents off guard and catch them in the perfect spot. It's going to have to be an incredibly decisive and, a constructed play from the side of MGE, and that takes a lot of things that I feel like we haven't been seeing enough of in this series. It takes lane priority, it takes vision control, it takes really having a solid core of fundamentals and understanding how to set up these plays. So I love that they're going for it, because it's exactly what you need to get back into this series, but it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be an uphill battle for MGE. I'm rooting for them. I love the underdog story.
Yeah. I mean, the underdog story is definitely a theme. As both of these teams were indeed the 3 seed coming out of their group. So them even making it this far is an achievement in itself. But as we head into Summoner's Rift, it's time to see if CeraForce can close things out, or if allowing Jin Jin to play a second game is going to spell disaster for them and send us to a game 5.
Beautiful intros brought to you by none other than Hyper, our star producer behind the scenes. As goddamn right, he quotes.
Yeah, you better believe it. And now
he knows how good he is. And that's one of our favorite things about him. Level 1, a little bit of an invade coming through from Chad Junkies. This is probably the most action we've seen level 1 this series. It's just going to result
game
in
number
a ward.
2.
Oh, I game number 2 is like been black for my mind. It's been recessed. Want to forget it so badly.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the pink ward. Okay, this is 5D chess level 1 now.
That
Checkmate.
is very interesting, and it shows that Jin, he understands Echo's never going to invade an Olaf here because Echo just cannot compete with Olaf unless if Olaf is 200 HP, and well, in that case then
he's even more
shame
dangerous.
on you. But if he isn't able to one-shot him, Jin once again wins out. And yep,
it's gonna be a standard start though. Jin and Chad Junkies both gonna start on their blue side. Will be pathing to opposite sides of the map, and this is as expected. Jin will most likely be covering for baby girls up there on the top side, because again, that Kennen needs to be at an advantage almost more than anybody else in this game up against this Ornn.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm actually interested in is what Heppo decides to go for a Mythic here, because obviously you don't want mana. Oh,
advantage for the Nautilus. Look at that burst. Well played there by Claritz and Ardently. It's just a pure level 2 advantage.
Yep. That's the level advantage coming into play there. And Stringing Bird, of course, running the Aftershock and unable to proc it means that he is still very, very squishy. In this mid lane, it should be a very good time for this Rumble, being able to get a bunch of priority. And that's what I really want to see is Heppo using this priority and then pulling Jin into fights for jungle. You just have to contest with this 2v2 because it is that good of a 2v2 here.
Yeah, it really is. And the faster you can get Stringy Bird out of this lane, the better. Which you hate to hear as an ADC. I'm sure LOL Noob isn't looking forward to the time where he has to spend without his support. But it will be crucial to making sure that MGE can accelerate the pace enough. Here comes the first gank to the top side. They found Deku extended. A lot of damage
and
coming
red
through.
buff.
This will be at least a flash, and yeah, Deku not even going to burn it. First blood going over to Jin. Exactly the start that MGE wanted.
Yeah, exactly what the doctor ordered there. Deku this time around making a massive mistake being that far up the lane with his wave. Means that Jin gets a really nice collapse, but Deku
Did he steal that? He
steals
did.
away the joy, and already the counter jungling's coming out. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a huge double scuttle while Chad Junkies this entire time. He's going to take away the Gromp now, and that Gromp feeling a lot juicier after this last patch.
Yep.
Is definitely a meaningful camp to steal away. And bot lane priority belongs to LOL Noob and Stringy Bird right now, but with Chad Junkies here, this could turn into a gank play. Jin's on the way, but he's not going to be here that fast. It's an engage there from Stringy Bird. Ignite coming out. Ardently has to flash away, and now they realize they haven't had teleport his channel to try to cover for this. And health bars are very low on the side of CeraForce. Chad Junkies is trying to block, but one kill goes over. Nothing traded back as of yet.
But
Jin is wrapping around, and they're going to continue on this play. One axe is going to land. Can they find it? And yeah, perfectly executed there by CeraForce, by MG Eclipse. They get 4 kills on the board for themselves now.
Well, you could say they were perfectly executed because there was no response from CeraForce. They all just keeled over and died.
And that's going to turn into an Infernal Dragon as well. And MG Eclipse, I mean, this is really good from them. They look amazing in this game. I'm starting to wonder if, Jin Jin is really just the important piece of this squad. Because when he was pushed down onto that Nunu, that volley bear in game number 1 and 2, this team seemed lost. And game 3, I know was a little bit odd to start off, but game 4 with him on the Olaf, this looks like a very well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it looks a lot different. And again, I mentioned coming into this game, is him being able to play the game just that much of a difference?
I guess so.
And it looks like we have our answer so far.
Yeah. I mean, it is 6 minutes in. Perhaps we're getting ahead of ourselves a little, as Stringy Bird is going to be hooked up. But this definitely feels like a more comfortable MG Eclipse. You cannot deny that. Jin Jin is caught out, though, and you called it. Not 250 HP, but if he's 500 or less, Chad Jungies wins out in that fight. Heppo now has to flash away. Is the Ornhorn going to be called to try to tag him out? He's got nowhere left to run. Too much distance to cover. Saber Wolf is going to find the kill onto him. CeraForce back on the board now, as there will be no counter response for MG Eclipse.
Yeah, really nice response there coming in from CeraForce, able to find that pick and also able to lead that pick into another kill. And the kills go on to important members. It's on to Chad Jungies and it's on to Saber Wolf. Both of these champions need to kind of get ahead here. And if they do, they really, really control the game, because you're going to be able to really play the 1-3-1 with those two members, and the map dynamic just changes drastically.
Ignite drop down from Deku. That Summoner Spellbook threw me for a loop for a second, but good trade from him there. That lane has been fairly equal, which is great news for CeraForce. The Ornn actually dead even in CS, as Chad Jungies blows his ultimate in his own jungle. But even that early gank, getting that first blood, really didn't affect this lane at all, because that goal did not go on to the cannon, and there were no return ganks.
And I'm actually surprised Baby Girls himself, he didn't go for the Summoner Spellbook to match, because you just get so much more utility and added kill pressure when you do have that versus the Airy in lane. Yes, the Airy is going to do a little bit more damage, but it is into an Ornn, so it's not like Ornn cares much about that extra damage. He definitely cares more about the kill threat provided by an Ignite or an Exhaust onto a Zed, as that's also a summoner spell that doesn't exist here for MGE.
Slower start to this game, but again, I want to bring up that this is where CeraForce have found most of their wins. They are definitely a mid-game team, start to really break out around the 15 to 20 minute mark. And here, Jin Jin trying to take the Herald's going to be spotted out, and CeraForce want a challenge. Ragnarok popped, but that makes you oh so squishy, and double assassin doing its job. Baby Girl's trying to make the hero play, and he finds the jungler, but he's most certainly going to trade his life back. Sorry, no, Chad Jungies is still here. He found the mid laner, and that means that Herald is still on the table. CeraForce starting to turn things around.
I just don't get that play.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real with you. This team from MGE, I mentioned when we came into the game that they have to force these contests or just full-on skirmishes around these objectives, and they do. However, your Rumble's not there, your Cannon's not there, and you're not able to layer these ultimates on top of each other. And now imagine a scenario where you get a 2 or 3 man ult with both the Rumble and the Cannon. Then that fight is completely different. It probably isn't even close for the side of CeraForce, but because they just stream in one at a time, it's just too easy for Zed and Echo to capitalize on just individual repeated 1v1 fights.
Again, much easier to avoid the perfect fight than it is to set it up, and that's the burden of execution that MG Eclipse are wearing in this game. Really cost them there. Now, though, the dragon is up. That is where MGE is hovering around right now. They don't have the mid lane prio, do have it in bot. Saberwolf right now on the move. And getting to pick now would be absolutely huge for either side. If MGE can stack up these first two dragons, really starts to push the tempo of the game, forces CeraForce to pay attention to them. They're giving up a lot of the ground, though. They're funneling themselves into this choke. They
Kennen needs
have
to teleport
on Kennen. He's looking for it. Orin's going to be the first one to TP, and Zed is already into the back line. Big damage onto Jinjin, and he's down. The jungler is gone. Chad Jungies, though, is alive, well, and doing damage. He's going to pop the ultimate to stay healthy, and Heppo will go down here. Baby Girl's eventually teleported in, and he does find a kill onto Chad Jungies. Can he find the second onto Deku? He flashes away, but the Kennen will fall as well, and even though the jungle falls, jungle fell on the other side too, so CeraForce are still going to start up this dragon.
Yeah, and it's just too easy for CeraForce with this skirmish composition. They want to take fights all across the rift here, and it's all about playing split as much as possible. And for the side of MG, it's the opposite. And to do so and succeed, you have to bring that teleport in a lot earlier. But they just waited. And once the fight was 3-5 seconds in, that's when the teleport finally got channeled, and that's just way too late. The fight's already over by the time you've arrived. The fight's not even occurring where the Kennen was teleporting, and it's just a massive, massive loss for the side of MGE.
Yeah, the fight essentially ended when Deku channeled his teleport before Baby Girls did. Because you need that Kennen to be in place, ready to go when Saberwolf pops that ultimate, when Chad Junkies dives in onto your backline, because no front line means that your carries are always at threat. And you need to be ready and able to answer or exceed that threat yourself. MGE are nowhere near that level right now, despite the fact that the gold is dead even, or near it.
Yeah, gold lead isn't too drastic here, but now Heppo running into
for a play. Good dodge there from Heppo. Uses the flash to get out of danger.
Turn.
Ardently is now the target. He dashes onto LOL Noob, and one more auto attack would take him down. The turret keeping him safe for now. Ardently, now here comes the jungler. They found a kill, but they're gonna get cleaned up. Jin, the janitor, is going to grab two for himself. Meanwhile, Chad Jungies has brought the Rift Herald to the top side. Shelly is making sure CeraForce end up positive on that trade.
Now, hey, Baby Girls, definitely could get dove here if Deku...
Hang on, look at Saberwolf here. He's wrapped around. Jin doesn't have the ultimates, but Saberwolf is still afraid of the Olaf. And not even the juicy Aphelios is going to be able to draw him in.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, the Echo is 20 CS up onto the Olaf. Definitely not a result I was expecting there. But again, Chad Jungies knows how to path just a lot better than Jin in this series.
Good
and it looks
drench
like
line, Stringy Bird strung out on his own.
no flash.
Good jump to get him away, but Ardently has the chase. And Heppo didn't really have anything to offer to that fight. No ultimate, was overheating, couldn't even throw out the slow.
Mm-hmm. And CeraForce once again find another untradeable play there. And MGE very far in for that. They were peeking their head in, and they got bit quite hard here. Saberwolf taking that ward, denying vision here. Now it comes down to the vision game because, again, you do have double assassins. So you want to be able to use the flanks as much as possible and just catch people through fog. Use fog to your advantage. And for the side of MGE, they need as much vision when it comes to setting up the play. Once again, it comes down to setting things up, and we do have a dragon that will be that next target.
Yeah. Chad Jungi's feeling great this game. Picks up the Magi's Soul Stealer, already on 9 stacks. So he's going to be really hurting. You know, you got to be deathly afraid because there is not one no magic mantle for Stringy Bird. That is the only source of magic resist for the side of MG Eclipse. And Chad Jungies has that proto belt completed. Saberwolf picked up a Prowler to get a little bit of extra sticking power. And Baby Girls, he's flashing away from the engage there. And they turn this one around. Good stun out of Chad Jungies. He pops the ultimate, but now he's behind enemy lines and dashes away. But he is going to fall. Deku stepped up to try to save him. He has the team
Ardently
on the way. The cavalry has arrived. Stringy Bird gonna get hooked in, but here's Jin Jin looking for Ardently. Great dash over the wall, but it leaves Clarice in a bad spot. The health bars are dropping low, and Ardently flashes back in to get the kill on
my
Jin
God.
Jin. He does get traded away as the shutdown coming through. Deku trying to run now. Clarice hiding. He's gonna get spotted out. Not able to trade that kill onto Baby Girls. MGE come out on top of that fight, but just barely. It's a 3-for-2.
Yeah, and in summary for that fight, I think the summary for that fight is producer malding ensues.
Gotta
As Hyper just lost his mind.
The real show is here in my headset. The producer is way more entertaining to this game right now.
And I mean, again, it's CeraForce. They are more than willing to take odd man skirmishes because they just can. And in that time, they get massively punished. And I'm not even surprised because that's just been the MO of this team. They're not super coordinated. Their coordination comes from slamming you with oversized wallets. And right now, the wallets aren't that oversized. They're up by the slimmest of margins. So you can't beat anyone with a bunch of pennies.
Yeah, I mean, you can. But rather, CeraForce, instead of, going out and filling their sock full of pennies and dimes, they went and just stuffed a bunch of $5 bills in it. And that's not hurting very much. They've still got the lead, I mean, barely. It feels like they should be much further ahead than they are. 5-3-5 jungler, 3-1-5 mid laner. But, that gold lead doesn't really hurt very much, it doesn't feel like. And it's been so scrappy, so back and forth, and MGE have a window where they can find fights to even this one up. They are not out of this one like they were in game 1 and 2. Like we thought they were going to be in game number 3. So liking what I'm seeing more and more from MGE, just really wish he needed to come online in game number 1 and not a game halfway through game number 3.
Yeah. And now we're looking at some of these items starting to come through here. The Cannon doing very well for himself, surprisingly. Didn't have a great lane phase. At least not from my eyes. Going even with an Ornn is not ideal.
That is a L up there. Saberwolf will dash away.
But now he's on 2 items. So Kennen definitely a massive threat in this next team fight, which is happening in 3 minutes. And Baby Girl does have the teleport available.
Yeah, we just need to see him teleport first. If Deku beats him to the fight, it makes things a lot harder. Rift Herald going to take down that tier 1 in the mid lane. That starts to open up the map for CeraForce. Not a lot of objectives to play around. They're strong enough for an early Baron, and no dragon up for about 2.5 minutes yet, but they can walk into the jungle and just look for a little bit of vision.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Heppo just didn't ult the wave and back off. But ended up sticking around. Thankfully, no one was there to really collapse and punish him. But Lil Noob
AC alone, and Saberwolf needs no more encouragement. But he doesn't have it. LOL Noob, great flash away. Doesn't even have to burn the heal. And yeah, he's shut down.
Yeah, more gold offered
for Aphelios. And I believe Saberwolf didn't have his Edge of Night completed when he went for that trade, which meant that he doesn't. Oh, did he?
He did not.
Oh,
No, he was
yeah.
just
So
sitting at
so
the
he did
mythic
not.
and
So
components.
yeah, you don't have that extra lethality, nor do you have that extra spell nullification. Although the spell nullification given definitely wouldn't have helped in that regard because he did take tower shots. But the lethality would have gotten the kill. Guaranteed would have gotten that kill.
Yeah, or at least forced out the heal there from LOL Noob. As he still had that one in his back pocket. And this, I mean, yeah, it's an ADC, but it's a very accelerated ADC. LOL Noob is 5-1-4 now. Closing in on that third item. It's about half an item up over Ardently, who's been able to get some kills for himself, but that's a dangerous backline, and it starts to get worrying that CeraForce was not able to execute on that dive because it doesn't get easier to kill that Aphelios.
Yeah, and now for this Aphelios, I'm expecting something like a Bloodthirster or or the GA, as he is sitting on stopwatch. Definitely the stopwatch is necessary for this next fight that is coming up in 30 seconds. And a little bit surprised that Jinjin's going for a recall because by the time he gets there, it should just be 20 seconds until the spawn. And again, this composition needs to be at the objective first to be able to lay down vision, to be able to get the perfect ult setup. Now, they don't have the flank capability. Baby Girls is going to be kind of running in just face up.
Yeah, they don't even have the equalizer available quite yet. It's still about 10 seconds on cooldown.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
It's complete vision control for the side of CeraForce. They even have deep vision control ward onto that blue pit. MG Eclipse are going to walk in. They found a way into the river, which is a good sign. Deku is still a little bit away from the squad. Neither top lane are going to TP in. They're just going to walk down. And the dragon has been started up. Who's going to pull the first trigger? Stringy Bird is looking.
Heppo's trying to find the
ult.
ult.
But the ADC is not here. Heppo's the only one doing
Not a good
damage.
ult.
Little Noob now joins in. But Stringy Bird has already lost half his health.
Watch Baby Girls.
Two-man ultimate. They found Ardently. He's forced to ult away, but Heppo is out of the fight. He is down. Little Noob looking for some damage. Good cannon ultimate. He's going to find one. Chad Jungies goes.
Too late.
Little Noob has to go golden as well, but now he's taken out. And that's the big raid boss for MGE. They don't have any damage. And there's no health bars either. CeraForce cleaning this one up. Chad Jungie just trying to make sure that he stays alive for the smite on the jungle after. CeraForce are going to be able to clean out. Oh, you're kidding me.
Hey,
Baby
girls.
Play with this.
Get out of there.
Chase. Oh, okay. Erase them. Yeah, I would too. Saberwolf. Gotta check the peripherals on that one.
Yeah.
Can we swap out that mouse? Might have been a faulty keyboard. My monitor turned off.
Yeah. Well, I think Lol Noob DC'd after watching how that team fight transpired there. Just immediately popped out. He was done. He's off to go have his 11 p.m. meal because it's getting
I'm
late.
gonna go play Valorant.
Yeah, that was a rough one in the stomach there because again, this squad has to set up, and set up means set up like a turret. You know, you sit there, you wait for them to come, and then you go boom. But you saw there, they were chasing. They chased so hard for that play. The route had to flash forward. The Rumble ultimate landed on 2 members, but Kaisa just eat away out of it. Like, it was just an absolute disaster there for the side of MGE. And Baby Girls, by the time he joined, there were no health bars remaining on his team. His ult didn't mean anything.
And that means CeraForce, they get the skirmish, they get the dragon, and now they're on to Soul Point.
That they are. In 5 minutes, MG Eclipse will be forced to once again throw their faces at CeraForce. Not that they've needed encouragement in this series.
Neither team have needed encouragement.
Neither team have needed any encouragement, and I'm sure as an LPL fan, you'll respect the gung ho style. I've always, I think I don't remember who said it, but there was a quote I loved when I was watching an LPL match last season that most regions use objective or fight because they want to take an objective, but in the LPL they use objectives as an excuse to fight, and that is very much the mindset that I get from these teams here. They don't actually care about getting the Dragon Soul or getting the Baron. They just care that the enemy team is going to be there, and that means that they get to kill them.
Yeah, that's exactly been it. And you see CeraForce have just been a little bit better when it comes to those mini objective fights, and they've also had their moments where there's nothing available, you're not contesting anything, and then they just full limit test like we're about to see here.
Yep, Heppo a level down. He pops the Zanyas. Good dodge there by Saberwolf. Spends minimal time in the equalizer, dips into it there at the end. But a nice clean kill. That Zed now has the lethality and the armor pen that he needs to blow up these squishies, and there sure are a lot of them on MG Eclipse's side.
There are definitely plenty of them, and they also just don't have a lot of tools to survive. Yes, you have the hourglass onto Baby Girl, but if Baby Girl's using that Zanya's to survive a Zed, he's not using it to engage on your team. And I think that is a very big distinction in that Baby Girl, he needs to use the Zanyas in an aggressive manner. Being able to get access backline and then use Zanyas is a lot different than Zed jumping onto you. You're forced to use the Zanyas and don't pop the ultimate because you're just under too much threat.
Yeah. Such a huge cooldown. You got to make sure it's used effectively. Once again, you were just talking about it. Saberwolf, he dives in, gets a turret kill, and another one onto Heppo. I feel like it's just, was that a replay? Producer, did you you bamboozling us?
Yeah, that looked like a replay there. Because he just died.
Now MGE, they're a man down, but they're trying to force the play here. They need something back for themselves, and they have the numbers advantage here. There's one kill onto Saberwolf. Meanwhile, though, their base is falling apart. They have two members in the mid lane taking down that inhib. Chad Junkies is in the bot lane guiding the way forward. They will most likely rotate down there, take those turrets as well. MG Eclipse look like they want to try to stop them.
Yeah, and this time, CeraForce, they take the opportunity to use the fight to get objectives that aren't directly involved with that fight. So they take themselves the inhib in that mid lane. They get themselves bot lane tower as well. It's just a massive win for CeraForce across the map. And while, yes, the Zed did fall, and I believe it was shut down because he got back-to-back kills, it doesn't really matter because this composition is mostly still about the 1-3-1, being able to pull the side of MGE across the map in different directions and using that chaos as a result to then take the fight after.
Yeah, CeraForce
Heppo
must be getting tired.
Heppo.
Man.
Heppo.
Oh, Heppo. What is this? 3 times in the last 2 minutes? I mean, the man is not really worth much more than a minion at this point, but it's still free gold.
He's been dead more often than he's been alive. Not a great score line for him. It definitely felt more of a curveball pick here. Just seeing that it was the Echo and just tunneling in onto what's a good Echo counter. But into the Zed, it's not a good pick. Again, I mentioned they could have gone for a neutralizing pick, but just didn't want it.
And now the second inhibitor turret is going to fall. Inhibitor soon to follow. The dragon is there to fall back to if CeraForce want.
And that would be Soul.
Yeah, would be Soul. Looks like they're going to go for it. They've, really pulled themselves together here in this third game. At least in the last 10 or 15 minutes. This is not the CeraForce that we've seen from previous games where they would have 100% stayed in your base for the next 6 waves, despite the fact that the Soul was up. But we've seen them multiple times now in recent events.
A little more
go
respectful.
For objectives. Yeah, go for objectives. Go for the for sure plays to try to end the game. Now is the time for shenanigans, though, as they have found MGE caught unaware. Ardently left out to dry, though, and there's 3 members gunning him down. Do they have the damage? He's still alive, and he's gonna live. As CeraForce get their carry out safely, gonna teleport in, and Heppo, one more death to top the game off. And CeraForce, they finished playing with their food. They're gonna finish this series off 3-1. And a 30-minute finale. $750 minimum prize now, as they will be going on to face CBT.
They will be the ones to move on into the finals.
Congratulations.
I mean, if we learned anything from this series, it was if you allow the side of CeraForce to skirmish, they will take you to town. They will accept every single skirmish given to them. So coming into that next series, I guess that's all we need to tunnel in on, because their team fights still didn't look clean. I did not like those team fights.
The question I have for CeraForce is, are they going to look better, more cohesive next week? If hopefully, fingers crossed, they keep
one
the
more
same
week.
roster, because I think that's the storyline. Is if you need to know one thing about CeraForce, is that they have changed their roster almost every single week throughout the season, and extending into playoffs. There's been so many changes on this squad, but if they can stay together for a couple of weeks and fix these synergy issues, turn these skirmishes into what we saw in the second half of that game 4, into actual plays around objectives, and then fighting at the opportune times when we know that they can, then, perhaps they will fare better against CBT. But in the current state, I wish them the best of luck. I hope that's a fun series to watch. We'll have to keep our eyes on it. But that's all that we have for tonight, guys. We're tired. I'm sure you guys are too. So we're going to wrap it up. Make sure to stay tuned next week for the finals match between CeraForce and CBT. We'll see you then. Good night.